I have a question.
Yes.
Do you guys think you could kick your own doppelganger's ass?
Nope.
It would know my moves. It would have a bottle before I could get a bottle.
Oh shit, yeah, that'd be tough. I think I probably could.
Why?
You just fucking kick its ass.
It would have the same strength and the same murder energy you have.
But like way more feral.
Yeah, because it has way more to gain and way less to lose.
Yeah, that's why I'm not fighting mine, because like I'm already, you know, I'm not doing good. And that guy that looks like me, he's doing way worse.
Yeah, they do have a desperate energy to them, don't they? I would listen to like the Doppelganger podcast of us, like of the Let's Fight a Boss cast. Although I have to I'd say the idea of both your doppelgangers absolutely terrifies me.
Why?
Because they're meaner than you guys are.
Why do you think a doppelganger would be meaner?
Because they are. Because I saw a documentary on it recently.
Same.
So I'm back.
It's been a lot. It was very hard for us last week, kind of accepting Bryan's passing, I guess you could say.
I am no longer tethered to the physical realm. What you hear now is just a voice. There is no body.
But fortunately, he found a loophole.
John is haunted, and I can remain on this podcast as a ghost.
Yeah.
So you're tethered to John.
Yep.
For all eternity.
All you've ever wanted. I'm happy for both of you.
That's not what I've always ever
I'm
wanted.
happy for both of
It's
you.
a really, really cushy setup, and I'm not going anywhere. I live inside John's skull.
How'd you find the first, 2 weeks have been? Bit
Uh,
fucking weird, right?
like I thought I'd miss food, so I still, yeah, I know I actually do miss food. No, it's fine.
Yeah. That's how I describe my existence. Fine. Welcome to the Let's Fight a Boss video game podcast. The world's strongest video game podcast. I am sitting here with two of the most successful drag queens to ever hit the Irish drag scene. To my left, introducing herself,
Yeah,
it's...
Susie Blackrock.
And to my right, also introducing herself,
It's Scrappy Kill Rush.
And who are you, my dear?
with you always, I am your host, Pussy Stone Park. Look at my first...
So what we're doing is you have to pick the first pet you've ever had and the street you grew up on. That's your drag queen name. It's a fun game.
My name sucks.
It doesn't
Are you
have-
serious?
Scrappy Kill Rush?
Scrappy Kill Rush, that's amazing! You could be a drag queen or a fighting game character.
Yeah. Oh, there should
I
be
know,
more drag queen
but there
fighters.
Your finisher could be called a Kill Rush Bonanza.
But there's no innuendo. You have a pussy in yours, and Bryan has
Well, my original cat's name was Puss in Boots.
that's pretty cute.
It was
What
my
was
favorite
your-
story.
Blackrock, and it rhymes with something else, I guess. You gotta go for something.
Whoa.
There are only so many names in the world, and
When I think of shit that I don't know if I'm going to leave in the podcast or not...
It was so bad. It was such a great moment, though. I like that we both looked at each other and went, no.
Sometimes when Bryan kind of goes off the deep end, Niamh gets this panicked look in her face, and I can nearly count it down now. I just go 1, 2, and then she looks at me as if, John, do something.
Fix it. I don't know how.
leave it in. It's fine.
But at least you have innuendo in your name. But Scrappy Kill Rush, I feel like I'm kind of a messy queen.
I guess it's maybe more a roller derby name.
Yeah, totally.
Oh yeah, it is.
If anyone wants to use that for the roller derby name, you can. I'll
what
let
would
you.
What would your guys' roller derbies names be?
Scrappy Kill Rush.
Sonic Adventure 2, bitch.
That's pretty good. I think I'd probably go with Clint Beastwood.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to apologize because my voice is really gone this episode, and so there are points where I might not be able to talk and points where annoying coughing might happen, but I promise I will edit as much out of it as I can. So guys, Bryan, why don't you tell me about a little bit of media you're excited to talk about?
Yeah, sure. I watched a movie called Under the Silver Lake. Do you both know anything about this film?
I've never heard of it.
No.
Okay. This is the third film from a director whose second film we all really, really like. I can't remember the director's name, but 4 years ago he directed a film called It Follows. And
The shock.
And this is his new film, Under the Silver Lake.
Is it a horror?
No, but it's got violence in it.
Yeah.
It is a neo-noir mystery conspiracy movie set in LA, starring Andrew Garfield as a very unlikable protagonist trying to find a missing girl that he has a crush on. And it is a very weird LA movie among, you know, a very wide variety of weird LA movies. It fits in there, you know, along Mulholland Drive and Big Lebowski and just like stuff that has like just strange characters and even stranger locations.
It's its own genre right now.
It-
I would
yeah.
put Velvet Buzzsaw in it as a bad example of one.
Yeah. So this is nothing like It Follows, and if you're a fan of It Follows, don't expect it to have the same energy as It Follows.
I feel like we're going to be echoing that sentiment a lot this episode.
Yes. It's like 2.5 hours long, and some parts of it are boring, but for the most part, I really, really enjoyed it. I don't know if I'd watch it again. I do recommend it to others, but it has the caveat of like, just set your expectations broad. Because there is some questionable material in this film.
Oh, really?
It's fucking weird, and like the whole thing is it's written and directed by the same guy. It's got a bigger cast, and his first two movies are set in Detroit in the suburbs, and this one is set in LA. There's even a bit where he goes to the last bookstore and everything.
I love that place.
Yeah, I love that shot. Oh yeah,
It's one of the only nice things about that fucking hellhole of a city.
yeah. And he's in there buying like zines, and I was like, this is so fucking good.
What zines is he buying?
This like conspiracy zine about some guy who's written a comic about a dog killer, and there's a dog killer loose in LA. Nothing to do with the main storyline.
Nice.
So the way it's done is there's all these plot threads and characters, and they have nothing to do with the core story, but they're there as distractions or what ifs or paths that he does not go down because he's so hyper focused on trying to find this missing girl, and he's finding clues where there aren't clues, combining them with other items that he collects along his way, and solves puzzles that go nowhere.
So he's kind of building his own narrative.
Yeah. And it's really just about trying to find meaning in subtext that isn't there.
In 2019, I think that is a really interesting thing to make a film about.
Yeah. It really kind of like to me it feels like it's taken the piss out of a lot of recent movies or people kind of honing in on something where it's like there's nothing there, and then there's like other stuff in the film where it's clearly obvious that this character is doing that, but it's never expressed directly in the film, but it's because like they're screaming and shouting at you with other information instead. But like it's a very good mystery that doesn't really have a point to it, but that's kind of the point.
I like
That's
films
cool.
like that.
It's very,
Yeah.
very nihilistic, but in a good way, I guess.
What's that film? I think it's Burn After Reading.
Yeah.
Where all this shit happens. And like, this isn't really a spoiler or anything, but the film kind of ends with someone saying to someone else, so what the hell happened? And the other person's like, I don't know. And that's the end of the film.
Yeah, it's very much like that. Like, it's got a non-ending. Like, the main character is super unlikable. Like, he's played by Andrew Garfield, who played the second version of Peter Parker before the new guy came along. And he's just playing this, like horny guy that's also, like, super aggressive to other men. And he's just a jerk.
Sounds like my kind of dude.
Yeah, like he has sex with so many women in this movie.
Not my kind of dude.
He beats up a kid at one point.
My kind of dude.
Yeah. Back to that again this episode. But then like it's cool because like there are all these other characters and they have their own agency where like they exist in their own world and they know each other outside of the main character meeting them.
I love shit. Because
sometimes he'll show up to a party and there's two characters and he's like, "You two know each other?" And they're like, "Yeah, we were roommates 2 years ago."
Do you ever
just shit like that?
Do you ever like have a party or something and you see two people from different social circles interacting and it kind of feels like weirdly existential because it's like, wait a minute, they should know each other,
but they do. And maybe they'll have an opinion on you, or maybe they'll exchange information.
One time I saw our friend Patrick talking to my friend Manooch. What are those two guys doing together?
Talking about you, John. Your funny behavior.
My behavior is really normal. A normal person. We've established this.
What do you think, Niamh? Do you think that's what a normal person would say?
Yes, certainly.
There we go.
I saw The Umbrella Academy, and I need to talk about this because it's killing me.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
So, The Umbrella Academy, Netflix original based on Jared Way's comic. There's a character, it's basically an X-Men style setup where there was spontaneous bursts. I'm going to call it spontaneous bursts. Spontaneous pregnancies that kind of look like a spontaneous bursting.
Yeah.
That opening, it opens on a spontaneous, miraculous pregnancy, and it's kind of traumatic. Like it's
swimming
a bit,
pool, yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit body horror-esque.
Totally.
It's to the point that I was like, no. But I think it's like something like 42 miraculous children are born and this billionaire buys 7 of them, or was it 14? 7 maybe? 7, we'll say 7. He buys 7 children and they are his special superhero force, and that is fine. One of them is called Luther. One of them wears a padded coat.
Okay, so I saw some of this over Michelle's shoulder. And the moment I saw this guy with the padded coat, I was like, Niamh's gonna think this is so fucking funny.
It fucking drives me wild. Every scene, he's just wearing this giant coat and he looks like a tiny little head and his tiny little hands in his really big padded coat. And no one goes, "Hey Luther, you're inside, take off your giant Arctic coat," because he can't, because he's wearing like a padded suit underneath. And I feel like they could have done this in any other way, like a trick of like just do some camera trickery, do some CGI, just make him wear a super tight muscle shirt and hire someone who's like ripped.
What if we got him a giant padded coat instead, though?
It looks so bad. And then there's Ellen Page, and she's like, her character, what's special about her character is that she's not special. So every other member of this 7-man X-Men team has a power, like has an X-Men style power. One can teleport. Luther's big. He's so stupid looking. Ellen Page's character, her special power is that she has no power, and she's really, really depressed about it. So you have Ellen Page looking really, really depressed, and then she turns around and she's talking to a full-blown CGI English chimp.
Yeah, the monkey butler.
And like, it's such a serious monkey butler who was like extreme like Stockholm syndrome, because like the dad who bought all of them, like I'm only like 3 episodes in, but conceptually he's kind of a monster. He just bought these kids and raised them for his own means, and he made a super intelligent monkey to be their monkey butler, but he also has a robot mother for them. Anyway, this whole story's fucked. I'm only a few episodes in. I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes. I heard it kind of goes nowhere and it's a bit boring. But right now, I think it's really dense and pretty in its backgrounds and really, really super dumb. And I'm enjoying it for those reasons.
It has that Netflix polish.
Yeah,
it does. I've watched 2 episodes. I don't know if I'll keep watching it.
I wouldn't blame anyone for not, because it's kind of terrible, but kind of fascinatingly so. There's like so many musical numbers in it. Like they just play music and something happens that's very, very attached to the music. Like a boy is running and the song is "Run Young Man Run," and it's like, Okay.
That's some Zack Schneider kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's so on the nose, but then it's got like super hyper violence acted out by a 12-year-old.
I like him.
Oh, I don't like him at all.
He's wearing
So
shorts. I like wearing shorts. So
Yeah.
I
I
get
wish
it.
you'd worn shorts more when you were little.
Yeah.
Okay, weird tangent.
Why? What's wrong with that, Niamh?
Just gotta wear a pair of shorts.
We're never going to be able to tell her about birding.
No.
Birding?
Later. We'll see.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, that's where I am with Umbrella Academy. There's such a Jared Way self-in. Did I say something really rude? Is
No,
everyone
no,
like, oh my
no,
god, they got
no.
her to say... What is birding? Is this a boy thing?
It's a John thing and a Bryan thing to a lesser extent.
Oh my god, okay.
Look,
Anyway.
me and Bryan are just getting real into birds, okay?
There is Jared Way insert character, and I find him extremely hilarious as well, just because I know exactly what he is. Bryan, you're like fucking dying into your hand right now. I've said something extremely
What's
rude.
wrong, Bryan?
I just don't want to talk about birding on the podcast.
Oh my god, then stop saying it.
John-
Okay, we're moving on. Umbrella Academy's over. Loser's Code is
John-
hilarious.
John, yeah, sorry, Niamh. There are some things we should never talk, and one is birding. One is around the world. We should never talk about around the world.
Absolutely not.
Stop talking about stuff you can't
Birding
talk
is
about.
It's a normal hobby for normal people.
And we should never talk about what happened in the flat.
Oh, okay. Moving on. That sounds great, Niamh. Big coat. Thumbs up.
Thanks for listening, guys.
I actually know why he's got the big coat, and it's really fucking stupid.
Because he's like half a monkey or some
He's
shit.
got a
Yeah.
gorilla chest.
I don't get, like, I still think it could be done better.
Well, a lot of things could be done better.
Wait, so there's a CGI chimp, but also a man who's half gorilla.
This kind of rich billionaire was obsessed with like magic babies and gorillas. Like that seems to be
Those
it.
were his hobbies.
Yeah.
The powers are like really, really like unfair.
Mm.
Like one guy can control space and time, another guy can like steer throwing knives.
I'd prefer to control space and time.
Yeah.
Like there's a real fucking scale there.
I feel like there's kind of a moment when you're growing up. A part of growing up is realizing that control of time is the most invincible superpower and nothing else even comes close.
Totally.
Yeah.
Oh, one more thing. Ellen Page, again, looks like a lesbian, is a lesbian, dresses like a lesbian in
Yeah.
it. She's straight in it, and I think that's just homophobic. You cannot dress a girl that gay in a TV show and then tell me she's straight.
She
I
looks
won't
pretty fucking-
believe it.
Yeah,
It's a lie.
She has that shirt buttoned all the way up
Yeah,
to the top.
all the way
Yeah.
up. Girl's gayer than me.
Well, let's not go crazy now.
Yeah.
As established, you are wearing a sweater that says Tomboy.
I just want to make things clear.
She is indeed a Tom and a boy.
Yep, that's true. Guys, I read the comic #1 with a bullet. This was a pretty interesting comic. It's about this girl, and basically what happens is she works for like a kind of Conan sort of talk show, and a sex tape of her is leaked, and it kind of ends up like ruining her life and everything, and it was taken without her consent, like she didn't know. It's like it kind of semi-future, and so the tape was being recorded with this guy who had like weird contact lenses, and he was recording her as they were doing it, and she didn't know, but then he didn't mean to leak it, but and it kind of ends up destroying her life. And it's weird because it's all kind of framed from like she already has a social media following, and then this comes along and just decimates her, and it's like this kind of weird horror comic. It's the kind of thing where I read it and I wouldn't say I loved it, but it kind of stayed with me.
I guess it's so topical.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, just there's a big case in South Korea right now about like women being recorded and stuff like
Oh,
that.
that
Yeah.
fucking hotel room thing?
Yeah, with fucking drones
What
through the window.
fuck? It wasn't drones, it was tiny cameras.
Oh, really?
Like tiny,
that.
like
Hair dryer outlets and stuff like
Yeah.
that. In, like hundreds of the rooms. There's a real problem with that kind of stuff. And then just in general in revenge porn and people like hacking phones and leaking nudes and stuff like that, it's very topical. So it's very much a social horror.
Yeah, it I think it taps into a lot of that well. I think maybe some of the other stuff, like the characters, I didn't get a super great sense of some of the characters. Like, a big part of it is, you know, she's with this other girl, and they have a pretty cozy relationship, but it kind of falls apart through all this stuff. But it was like you never got a great sense of maybe why they're together, aside from one or two scenes, and I thought that was kind of disappointing. But the artwork in it is super strong. The color work's amazing. Like, it looks really, really good. And so I guess if you want to kind of like dystopian horror, I give that like a modest recommendation. But guys, I also saw a movie.
Yeah.
And it was about us.
Finally, someone made the best movie there could be. 3 podcasters. Video game podcasters.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a film.
True.
So I guess the synopsis is a family is on summer holidays in their summer home. They get a home invasion, but the people breaking into their home are evil doppelgangers of them.
Yeah.
So this is Jordan Peele's new movie.
I think we should break this conversation maybe into a non-spoiler section and a spoiler section. What do you guys say?
Yeah, so let's talk non-spoilers for a bit, and then we'll have a timestamp for you to skip ahead.
Uh-huh.
Do we recommend this movie?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Without
Fantastic.
a doubt. I think it's great. I think he's like... Get Out is a very, like, clearly social horror. You know, it's very about, like, the Black experience. And this is also about that, but in a way more subtler way.
So
it's not as overt.
I came out of this film thinking, like, that wasn't really about anything, but I still enjoyed it. But the more I talked about it and the more I thought about it, the more I like felt like its themes started coming to the surface, and I really liked that about it a lot. Like, when I saw it, I was like, this is a fun, dumb horror movie, and then an hour later, I was like, but then this, and then this.
Yeah, it's about ignorance and privilege and being at the top and not being at the bottom.
It's like, it's so subtle that, like, I came out of it too being like, I guess that wasn't as overt, but like the more again I talked about it and thought about it, I was just like, wow, this is so layered conceptually, and I love that you can go so many directions thematically.
Yeah, and like even you know, me and Michelle were texting back and forward today, and like we were still kind of being like, oh, did you notice this? You know, and it's I had a blast with this movie. I think it works as a really dumb science fiction horror. I think it works as a really cool piece of social commentary. You know?
Yeah, and the main cast are brilliant, like, especially the kid actors.
Oh my fucking
like,
god!
All 4 of them are brilliant.
I really think that the only reason the doppelgangers didn't fall flat is because each actor was so fucking good. The doppelganger of the teenage girl scared the shit out of me.
Yeah. Just a very unusual energy that I've never seen in a horror movie, and I didn't know how to process that.
Yeah. So, God, I don't know how much more to say without spoiler stuff, but I think people should absolutely see this movie. I guess just it's been getting kind of mixed reviews, and some of it I understand, some of it I don't. I think some of it is people were maybe expecting the message to be kind of maybe be fed to them a little bit, like with Get Out, which I understand to a point because I was there for a minute. But then I think other people are maybe a little disappointed it's not more about like the exclusively Black experience like Get Out was. And I get that as well, but I also get like just because Jordan Peele is like, you know, Black, he's not tied to making films exclusively about that. And it's still about that in a broader sense as well.
It definitely feels like that at the start, and then I think it uses that as a way to subvert your anticipation of
Once things start anteing up was when I was like, oh!
Well, just like, just by the fact that it's a Black family, it will be about the Black experience. You know what I mean?
Well, you know what I mean by like, not as directly as
it's
Get
not.
Out.
It's not as overt, but it is.
And even then,
subtly
like, there's
there.
undertones in there, like some of the stuff about how the dad's comparing himself to another family.
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
Class is such a big part of it.
Yeah. Okay. I think we got to go into spoilers.
Full recommendations.
Yeah.
Yeah. If
Across
you haven't
the board.
seen this movie, check it out. If you have already seen it, here we go. So,
When the white doppelganger showed up, I was like, what am I watching?
they were fucking brilliant.
Oh.
I love Elizabeth Moss and Tim Heidecker. Like, especially Tim from Tim and Eric, because like he's up for doing anything. So his evil doppelganger doing like fucking pterodactyl calls and shit like that was just...
He was having a lot of fun with that doppelganger.
Yeah. I loved Elizabeth Moss's kind of version where She has her weird beauty obsession still, but the bit where she's screaming out the window but there's no noise coming out of her, stuff like that was fucked.
I really like that the doppelgangers couldn't speak because they hadn't kind of learned speech. And Lupita Nyong'o's character, you kind of learn her doppelganger. We're going really into this. Is the end of the movie now, so like if you don't want to spoiler, just get out of here. Yeah. But her doppelganger was originally the real girl, the girl who lived above land.
Yeah.
So she had speech, but because she was taken young, her speech was stunted.
Yeah.
And like I thought, like she just sold it so well. It sounded painful for her to talk.
Yeah. She's like inhaling instead of exhaling as she talks, so each word sounds like a choke.
I was watching like an interview with Lupita, and she was like talking about how it was inspired by a condition that happens after trauma, where like people have spasms in their vocal cords, and like it just like even the fact that it's to do with trauma makes so much sense as a character thing to have like this horrible thing happen to her. It was just really amazing and really scary. Like when she starts talking, her family, the doppelganger family, come into the house and sit all the kind of originals down, and it's so menacing.
Yeah, it's really disturbing.
And her weird crooked smile.
And I think like home invasion is one of the scariest things to play on.
Yeah.
I think that there's a really good film about home invasion, and like it's I don't think there's much message to it, or anything. Like, I think it's called The Strangers, where they wear the masks. It was like the first big home invasion movie of a bunch of them around that. I think it was like early 2010s, and that's a really fun home invasion movie. It's horrifying, but it's good. This had elements of that, I thought, totally.
Yeah. I just love the whole concept of just tunnels all over America, and underground there's just shadows of everyone above shuffling about.
That was fucking like, that was nearly like Junji Ito-ish, I thought.
The bit where it plays back the flashback of her at Santa Cruz at the theme park, but it's her walking through the boardwalk, and it repeats it with the doppelgangers, but they kind of move and twist and rotate in this weird kind of shuffle.
Yeah.
That was fucked.
It's like they're using the limited space they have to copy what's happening in such a bigger space.
There's like this dual dance sequence where the little girl above the ground is like, she's doing all these beautiful dance moves, and she has all this like space to do it, but then the same dance is being performed by, well, you know, not the doppelganger, but the doppelganger version of herself, except she's all cramped and she keeps like hitting off the wall, but integrating that into her dance. And it was like really fucking beautiful. Like,
I love that you call the dance fight beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that moment. It was so
well,
great.
I wasn't talking about the dance fight. I was talking about the ballet sequence when they're both kids.
Yeah.
I also thought the dance fight was beautiful. I thought that was amazing.
I thought it was really like interesting that like she came to the realization that she kind of needed to do a revolution to get the kind of copies out through kind of artistic expression.
Yeah,
totally.
And
because
she's just a messiah to them.
Yeah.
With her dance moves, and they're all like rubbing her head, and just like the bare information that they have about the above world through a t-shirt and a bunch of scissors. I really like the theme with the scissors, because the idea is that they're shadows, and there's this folklore that you can remove your shadow by snipping the shadow at the tip of your toes off. It comes up in One Piece as well, but just that they have the scissors because they want to remove themselves completely from their source.
There's loads of stuff like that, like the rabbits are all over it, and even the doorway into the underground tunnel has the white rabbit, and it's like follow the white rabbit kind of thing.
Yeah.
And there's loads of like just thematic symbolism throughout it that's really fun to spot. I love the Hands Across America thing, that was what they had to go on, and the idea of like kind of using this kind of nearly shallow expression of charity, like from our world, and them using it as a big expression kind of thing.
Yeah, and the fact that it's a charity for raising awareness for those less fortunate than us. And apparently that was like a scam, that whole thing.
Because it's a visibly nice thing, but it doesn't mean change in policy. but they don't know anything about that. They don't know anything about policy or anything like that. So it's kind of like, oh, we'll have this visual kind of thing. It was really cool.
And like when you start getting into the broader kind of themes, like I think there's a lot of interesting interpretations of it. But like I think part of it's like, you know, the shadow self and all that stuff, and I think that's pretty cool. And like that's the actor, the main woman, was kind of talking about that in some interviews. But I think like what it kind of says about like, I guess like disposable parts of society is kind of harrowing as well. Because like, you know, I was kind of reminded of like our trip to LA and just like, you know, a lot of the homeless people there, you really feel like society had let those people down big time. And I felt that resonated really strongly with the movie. But in two parts in particular. And the first is when the doppelganger woman says, they're like, who are you? And she's like, we're American. That really got me. But then maybe this is like reading too much into it. But Michelle was saying after, she wonders, is the title of the film Us, US,
it could
United States?
It could. It's like the movie's exceptionally American.
Yeah.
Like us as Irish people watching it, like we have a very outside perspective, but it is extremely American. Everything it's trying to communicate is American. So I would totally see it as that as well.
But yeah, it's like a film that I feel like has risen in my estimation every hour after myself seeing it. Like I thought it was great.
And like we're talking about like all this like symbolism and stuff. That film is so funny.
Yeah, it's really funny.
The comedy in it is amazing.
That fuck the police bit.
Yeah. I really like at the start when the dad's like, hey kids, and then he does a dab and they're like,
oh god, yeah.
That is the only way to get away
like,
with a dab in 2019.
What's Home Alone?
Oh, that was really good.
So good.
Just the whole like subverting the home invasion thing where they're like, we're just gonna set up a bunch of micro machines.
And like the dad, like there's this entire stuff with like and I think another kind of read you could take on it is like nearly imposter syndrome where you don't feel like you should have the things you have, and it's built on something else, like literally on the backs and on top of literal people in this case. But like the dad kind of has this competitive thing with the white dad, and it's kind of they're kind of like belittling each other all the time. Like the white dad is kind of like being like, oh, you bought the boat, but did you buy the right stuff for the boat? And they mention a flare gun, and then the flare gun comes back into it, and you're like, oh, cool, karmic retribution, he has the flare gun.
There was a lot of...
And it's a dud.
really subtle little world building like that. One of the bits I thought was really good is like when they're driving at the start of the movie, and like the teenage girl offhand mentions that she used to do track and field. And then later on in the movie, when they get to like the doppelgangers, the teenage girl's doppelganger, her like special ability is she's really good at running because of the track and field shit.
She also talks about how the government puts fluoride in the water, and everyone just goes, like just more conspiracies, but we don't care. The government's doing a lot of fucked up stuff, guys.
It's great. It's so layered. It's so fun. I think it's like a horror classic instantly, and nearly more so than Get Out.
Yeah, and I wouldn't have agreed with you right after I saw it, but like I think I'm kind of getting there.
Yeah.
And like also massively original horror film in 2019. It's hard to make original horror films now. Like I think it's a lot more original than like Get Out.
Oh, totally. And that score even really sets it apart as a horror film.
Yeah, and like just the concept of the doppelgangers, that's something that's been done before. Never to this scale and never to this effectively. And it's cool because like I've always loved the idea of like a horror villain, of a horror thing being, but like some kind of semi-supernatural, super evil human, and like not a vampire, but just something more normal, more mundane, but creepier.
It's so personal as well.
Yeah.
Because it's you. I love the final shot where like it really sets out the big scope that it is all the way across America.
Yeah.
But there's helicopters patrolling above. So there is a sense that there is a government or a higher body that aren't affected by this, but they're like documenting it.
Yeah.
Which is really dark.
And like you don't really get any like happy ending. It's like, yeah, things are fucked. Like, yeah, we're done. We're dead.
Yeah, and like the little boy knows there's something wrong with mom, but she gives him that like weird smirk where it's
that was just perfect.
She's like, I know you know, but you know, nobody's got it, like.
Yeah, as we were saying, like in the end of the movie, it turns out that the mom this traumatic experience she had with like her own doppelganger when she was a kid, they switched places, and so it's been the doppelganger we've been watching the whole time, which I think is great.
If I had one tiny criticism, it's nearly about that like reveal that she is the doppelganger herself. I liked the reveal. I just felt like they showed a lot of it. Like they showed her chaining her to the bed and like dragging her in, and I think just even the kid looking at her at the end of the car and kind of questioning it, because like you had enough information to kind of maybe draw that conclusion.
See, I think what I would have worried about with there is if they hadn't showed her chaining to the bed and stuff, you'd be thinking, did they switch at the very end or something? And that would have been kind of weaker then.
Yeah, I guess so. Or like even just her grabbing her as a little girl. It went on for a really extensive time, and I was just like, oh no.
Yeah.
But
they really make it clear.
Taste thing. Yeah,
Man,
they made it
I was
clear.
really like, I was not, because we all knew that we were all seeing it. We hadn't talked about it. I had no idea if you guys were going to like it or not.
Oh, I was super into it. I loved everything about it.
Same
Yeah.
here.
I could understand if someone didn't. If someone went into that expecting Get Out again, that is not what you got.
I hope Jordan Peele makes a movie every couple of years, and each one is some sort of social commentary horror.
Yeah.
I know he's
Social horror.
Yeah. I know he's rebooting The Twilight Zone, and he has his own production company, Monkey Paw Productions. So that's at the start of both his films. But he is like working with other directors, because like both those films could be Twilight Zone stories. They're just longer, broader versions of them.
Did you guys ever watch the old Twilight Zones?
Yeah.
They're fucking good shit, man. I like them.
Just this is a little aside. His Monkey Paw Studios, the opening little sting they have for that is all really nice stop motion animation that I really, really like.
When we watched that in the cinema and it showed the monkey paw, a girl behind me went,
For me, when Tim Heidecker started going crazy, I leant over to Rebecca and went, hey, it's free real estate. Fucking died. Did you get that, John?
Did you just ask me, did I get your reference?
Yeah.
Did you get the meme, John?
No, I didn't get your reference.
John doesn't
Bryan.
know any memes. It's really embarrassing.
Some kid's fucking dying now. He's like, that's fucking brilliant.
Yeah, it's really...
John, you gotta get in the memes. Never mind.
Yeah, I do. I should get more into memes and references because they're really funny.
What's really interesting about Us is the kind of pre-screening articles that are growing up, and it's like Us Explained, and I was like, these will be interesting to read because there's a lot of subtlety in this. Like there's no real full stop in like explain you can do, because they give you so little to explain the existence of the doppelgangers. It's told in 2 lines, basically. So I've been reading a few of them just to see what people are saying. People offer synopsis of the film you saw as an analysis.
Yeah.
It's so nuts.
Have you ever seen a YouTube video?
I have, but it's just so crazy, and it's just like I just see a lot of people retweeting it being like, oh, I'm so glad I like read this afterwards, and it's just like, that's the movie you just saw. Like they just went beat by beat through the movie. It just blows my mind. So because I was wondering what people would write about it, and it's literally beat by beat the synopsis. It's strange.
It is.
Oh, guys, what say you move into our strategy talk? Guys, I beat Devil May Cry 5.
Congratulations, John.
Thank you.
Was it fun?
It was so much fun. Oh my god, that game. That game is so much better than I ever thought it would be. And you know the crazy part? I beat it. I still want to play it.
Are you going to go back and play it on a higher difficulty?
I've already started.
Okay, cool.
Like, I pretty much beat it, and I was like, I am sad now because Devil May Cry 5 isn't in my life anymore. Now, I guess just to say, there is a point in that game, I'd say maybe 3/4 in the way in, and it was starting to wane a little bit. Like, I felt like, you know, some of the there's a few levels where the setting isn't very interesting, and like the combat arenas start to go on for maybe a little too long. But then you get into like the final acts of the game, and there's like several boss fights that are so much fun. And in particular, like the last boss fight of the game, or I'm going to say the last boss sequence for people who've kind of played it, it so does right what Devil May Cry does best, and it was just amazing. And the way it played like tribute to like that series and everything. I've seen some people disappointed about like the ending. I think maybe because like story wise it's not as like maybe it doesn't have an end on any major like narrative bangs or anything. But to me, like it's Devil May Cry. Like, who fucking cares? I know people do, but honestly, I think that series is about scale and spectacle, and that's what the end was to me, and it was just so good.
Who was your favorite character to play and fight as?
I think I never got bored of playing as Nero, just because the Devil Breaker arm was so much fun to play as. Dante was great as well. Got a little excuse me.
Poor John. It's okay, John.
Thank you, Bryan. I got a little bit bored with V just because I felt like he didn't really have as many options as Nero or Dante. But like I've seen people say that Dante is the reason you play this game. He is the most fun to play as. I think I prefer Nero, but god damn. One or two little qualms. For one, when you die, it gives you the option to revive, and you can revive with red orbs or golden orbs. And your only other option is to give up, which sends you back to the last checkpoint. But sometimes in boss battles, the last checkpoint isn't at the start of the boss battle. It's like maybe a few rooms before. And so if you give up, as opposed to like just reviving there and then, so you've got the boss down to half health, you can revive, and the boss is going to be on half health again. You just fight from there. What it means essentially is you can brute force nearly every boss in the game. And I really think that's a bad way to go with this game, because like the last couple of boss fights in particular, learning the boss's pattern, it's like playing a Dark Souls game on like LSD. You know, like there's all this shit you can do, and figuring out all these separate little counters, like the last encounter in particular, just like having the boss keep throwing out these moves where I was like, I'll never ever learn to counter this, and then learning to counter it in like the dumbest, most stylish way possible. It felt fucking amazing, like so good. And it's a shame because I think a lot of people who play the game are just going to keep reviving during those boss fights because the revival cost is so low. Like you'll never run out of revival items. And I get that they want to keep like, you know, casual players engaged, and that's fine. But I think the game isn't particularly hard, and everyone should be able to beat these bosses, even just on Devil Hunter. I would recommend people not do that. But most of all, I would just recommend people play this game. Whether like, you know, you're really into Devil May Cry and you want to play it now, or down the line you want to pick it up for 20 or 30 euro, this is a fucking great game. I'm sad it's over, and I wish I had more of it. And I do not feel like that about a lot of games. So really amazing game. It's great. Everyone should play it.
All right.
Yeah, there we go. Bryan.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us about Conker's Bad Fur Day?
I'm playing Conker's Bad Fur Day again. I played this as a kid. It's not a kid's game, but I played it as a kid.
It's not a kid's game. It's also kind of the perfect kid's game.
Oh yeah, it's like South Park. You know,
Yeah.
like it's like forbidden fruit when you're like 10 years old.
Niamh, what was your favorite forbidden fruit as a child?
Sybil.
Sybil is a very spicy show.
Yeah, I was not allowed to watch that, but I would watch it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was an older lady who talked about sex quite a bit.
She wore tennis shoes.
Okay, well I'm gonna have to edit all that out from the podcast. Bryan, how was Conker's Bad Fur Day?
It's all right. I'm kind of on this binge at the moment where I'm replaying N64 games, and
Are you playing them on an N64?
I'm actually playing the Xbox port of it on the Xbox 360.
Right.
What? That's vintage enough. Did you break out your 360?
Oh yeah, it's at work, playing it at lunch. And it's all right. It's a really weird 3D platformer from that era. So it's made by Rare, who made the Banjo-Kazooie games, and they made Donkey Kong 64. And they kind of had a lot of fatigue and oversaturation with that genre of 3D character platformer collect-em-ups. And they were making this game called Conker 12 Tales. And I actually have a loot drop about it later, so I'll get to that at the end of the episode. But they decided to scrap that game and remake it and make it an over-18s story-driven game about a swearing squirrel. And what you end up with is something that plays like Banjo-Kazooie, but it's incredibly linear, and it's almost like a point-and-click adventure game where you need to have a specific item, talk to a specific character to advance the story, which is pretty much point-and-click. So some parts of the... And it's fully voice-acted with cutscenes, and for a game, I guess. Well, like, so this is a port, but it is more or less shot for shot, like the N64 version. But
it's like upscaled, isn't it? Or not even upscaled. They did remake like the visuals and stuff.
They did, yeah. But like, it's shot for shot the same. I guess. It definitely was ahead of its time, but now it's super fucking aged.
Yeah, a lot of the I think quite a few of the 3D games from that era kind of have.
Yeah, I think next time I'm actually going to play Banjo-Kazooie because I tried playing DK64. That game is ass.
That game is notoriously ass. Like from it's meant to be one of the worst aged games. Can I ask you a question though, Brian? I've always kind of wondered about. I always wondered with Conker's 12 Tales.
Yeah. Was
that a legit game in development?
Oh, yeah.
So that was definitely legit.
So what happened was...
Because I guess I wondered, was it a marketing ploy?
No. For years, all there was low-res footage of it at a space world, like, very pre-E3. Like, someone filmed it on, like, you know, a high-8 camcorder off a screen.
Yeah, because I've never seen footage of it.
But Rare, when they released the Rare Replay collection on Xbox One, and Conker's Bad Fur Day was packaged in, on their YouTube channel, they put out like from their archive like high res footage of the game, and like it's properly it was in development, and a lot of the stuff they end up reusing. Like with the Conker 12 Tales game, he wears a different hat in each level. So there's like a cowboy level where he wears a cowboy hat, and there's one I think it's a circus level where he wears like a pinwheel hat, you know, a little pinwheel, but. So, like, there's hats in the final build of Conker's Bad Fur Day because they had the tech where they had a 3D model that they could put costumes on. So, weird stuff like that.
Right.
But, like, it's cool because, like, he has animated, like, fingers and he'll, like, move around. Like, he's super well animated.
Yeah.
And you could tell they like Tex Avery cartoons and Chuck Jones cartoons because there's a lot of stuff where, like, he needs to jump off a diving board to hit a switch, but he turns into a anvil with like a squirrel's tail just for that one bit of animation.
Weird.
But I really, really like the first half of that game, but I hate the second half.
Yeah.
It just drops in playability. It just becomes very frustrating and tedious. So it's fun to go back to, but I'm going to move on very soon.
Brian, since you're replaying platformers, I guess?
Yeah.
Have you ever played the Jack series, and would you ever play the Jack series? Jack and Daxter.
I'm actually very curious about them because the first one is its own thing, but then the second one, Jack goes to prison and he gets all fucked up.
He gets so fucked up.
So I don't know which one I should play. Should I jump into the second one or should I start from the beginning?
I love them all.
Okay.
How do you think they hold up now?
I actually bought the HD collection, and Jack 2 holds up surprisingly. They both hold up surprisingly well, and Jack 2 was one of those like first open world games where it had an open world hub area.
Yeah.
Where
because it was a
cars.
direct it was in the wave of GTA 3.
Yeah.
Like I think it was out before even Vice City was.
And Jack gets a gun. I think you should play the first one because then the second one is like infinitely more hilarious because of it.
I'm pretty sure I have it on the Vita because like a very long time ago on PS Plus, it was like the trilogy HD collection was ported to PS3 and
I've never
Vita.
heard anything about that third game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I know the first
fine.
one is like Jack and it's like a fun platformer.
Yeah, like because it's made by Naughty Dog.
The
and
second
it was like,
one he went to prison and got sexy. Never heard anything about it.
See,
like does he have like an estranged kid in the third one?
In the third one, there's like it's more in a desert. He's cut his hair so he's infinitely less sexy, and also they changed the ships around, which people weren't into either.
When you say ships, Niamh.
Oh, this game spawned a huge fandom and a lot of OCs and a lot of shipping happened.
Okay.
Niamh, could you tell the story about your fan art of Jack and Daxter at school?
One of my first digital drawings I ever did on Photoshop was a picture of Jack and Daxter, and the nuns at the convent I went to loved it so much that they put it on the school website's front page for a very long time because they didn't know how to change it. And that's my Jack and Daxter nun story.
Fantastic.
That's so specific.
But yes.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely on a binge of like, is this game still good? Do these mechanics still hold up?
I think you like platformers so much. I think it's like the PlayStation 2's answer to a lot of stuff that isn't Ratchet and Clank.
You know that
which is less
horrible
good.
cold feeling when you ask that question, Brian, and the answer is no.
Nah, man, it's not good.
What's some games with you guys that you've gotten that feeling where it's like, shit, this might be bad now?
Oh, when I replayed Super Mario RPG, I found it very tedious.
Oh, really?
And I thought it was very fresh at the time. When I like played a ROM of it, because it never came out in Europe.
Yeah, I played a ROM when I was a teenager, but it never got me as much as other kind of Mario games from that era did.
Yeah, I can't think of any off the top of my head. There is one game I'm looking forward to, is A Hat in Time, and it's not out in the Switch yet, but it will be in a couple weeks. And it's one I've been recommended to play, and and that's another platformer game.
People were saying, like, when the ukulele stuff started to go down, people were saying A Hat in Time is like the spiritual success for it.
So that's definitely one I really, really want to play. It's on my list. It's high priority. Just because I do want to play, like, a platformer collect 'em up that doesn't play like ass.
Yeah. I think the worst I ever got out was the Simpsons arcade machine.
Oh.
Because when I was a kid, like, that thing was magical. And, like, it looks amazing. And, like, the arcade machine itself, it's fucking huge and it's colorful and it looks like the Simpsons. And, you know, you play it for 20 minutes at a burst and you think it's the best thing ever. But then, like, when I downloaded it on Xbox Live and I could just play through the whole thing, like, you have 2 buttons, jump and attack.
Yep. That's
the game. And it was delightful, but my God, the gameplay sucked and it was such a shame. You have any games like that, Niamh?
I don't really replay games that often that aren't RPGs.
You don't have a lot of nostalgia for games.
No, I like to play the new thing.
Yeah.
Once it's done,
fair.
it's dead.
Speaking of which, I played ToeJam and Earl back in the groove.
You love ToeJam and Earl, don't you?
I don't talk about it a lot, but I'm a giant fucking ToeJam and Earl fan.
Okay, so my knowledge of ToeJam and Earl comes completely from Giant Bomb. I had never heard of it until Jeff Gersman always talks about ToeJam and Earl. It was available in Ireland, yeah?
Yeah.
What was it on?
Sega Mega Drive.
Yeah.
What the fuck is a ToeJam? And I cannot play it because of that word.
Well, I can't explain to you what a ToeJam is without first explaining Planet Funkatron.
Okay.
So, Niamh, I want you to imagine a planet much like ours.
But funky.
But, okay, not funky. Incredibly funky. Okay, everyone there is so chill and they're having a great time. You know what the predominant race is on Planet Funkatron?
No.
Slow down
Australians.
there. Slow down there, buddy. Who needs to worry about race when we're all just... It's just everyone, you know? It's just a universal thing. We're all... No, it's not white.
Why did they pick ToeJam as their name?
Because in the 90s, you gotta have Tude.
Yeah, ToeJam is an alien so funky, so fresh. He doesn't even care what his name is, man.
I love their designs so much.
Their designs are so good.
So one is a red alien that has extra limbs and...
Well, he has 2 arms, 3 legs.
They look like anthropomorphic alphabet characters.
And then the other one is basically Patrick Starfish from SpongeBob.
But before Patrick Starfish.
But before, yeah. But he is just
all
Patrick.
he wears is a pair of sunglasses and some boxer shorts with hearts on them. And so these ToeJam and Earl, these 2 guys are the coolest fucking people in the universe. Like, you know that question we sometimes get if you could hang out with like a fictional character? I would hang out with ToeJam and Earl because I would have the fucking best time. They'd know the best bars. They wouldn't stress me out at all like you fucking people do. It would just be like normal, fun, cool times, okay? But the problem is ToeJam... What are you laughing at?
I just saw a picture of the Sega Genesis box and he just says, is this real? He just has a speech bubble that says jammin'.
Yes,
yeah,
that is real.
They're jamming. They're cool guys.
Niamh, could you describe the box to people?
So, it is a red... alien with that. It's basically just kind of a lot of squiggles with eyeballs, and he's wearing gloves and runners, and he has a gold chain around his neck with TJ on it, which stands for ToeJam, and there's a speech bubble and he's saying jammin'.
What's on his head?
It's a cap. It's a backwards cap.
And where is he wearing the hat? On his eyes.
It's on his eyes, yeah.
So he's wearing human clothes, but they're not designed for him, but it works.
Then
or did we take the clothes from them?
Earl has sunglasses, he's bigger, he's wearing board shorts, and he's holding a hot dog.
They're meant to be a parody of Public Enemy, I assume.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, like, clearly one of them is Flava Flav.
Yeah, I started listening to a lot of early 90s rap this week.
Yeah.
There's some... I heard a song called The Fuck Shop.
Is it a good shop?
The lyrics implied to me that gentlemen were having a good time there. But anyway, so, you know, ToeJam and Earl, they also like to travel because there's nothing funkier than broadening your horizons, right? But then they crash land on the worst place imaginable.
Is it Earth?
It's Earth. And so you get there, and it's actually kind of funny because, like, it's like Earth is like a nightmare sequence from a Nickelodeon cartoon. Humans are all fucking awful and terrible, and you play as ToeJam and Earl trying to rebuild their spaceship. But it's actually fucking weird because there's actually a bunch of like really interesting gameplay systems in ToeJam and Earl.
The game's a roguelike, isn't it?
The game's a straight up roguelike.
Yeah.
It's not kind of a roguelike, it's a roguelike. You go through 20 levels, and you can set it so the levels are randomly generated. You get random items, random enemy placement, all this kind of stuff. You have to go through all 20 levels and collect your spaceship. Gameplay is super weird and slow paced, and I used to love ToeJam and Earl so much. I never owned a Sega Mega Drive, but whenever like I went over to my cousins, I'd always go rent it and force them to play it with me. And I'd always say that we had to talk like ToeJam and Earl because I thought they were so cool. And they were. Like, you guys have seen pictures of them at this point. They're literally the coolest motherfuckers alive.
Yeah, they're hard as a motherfucker.
Then ToeJam and Earl 2 happens, and it took place on Planet Funkatron, but it was a platformer.
Yeah, because the first one is a top-down, like, kind of,
yeah, semi-isometric.
Yeah, like it's like Binding of Isaac.
Yeah, the first one is also incredibly slow-paced. Like, you move so slowly. It's not an action game. It's a chill game about relaxing with your funky fucking alien friends. Second game wasn't that. Then they released a third game on the Xbox,
which I played.
Really? I never played it.
So the Smith's Toys near me, Smith's Software Zone, as we like to call it.
Yeah, that's the lingo.
It wasn't a launch title, but it was a launch window for the Xbox, and they had it as a demo for like a year. So I would play it while I was waiting for my bus, because my bus home was like beside the Smiths. It looked alright. It was a top-down isometric thing again.
Was it?
Yeah. Earl was kind of cool because he'd run, but he'd like lean back like loads. Like he was trying to go under like you know, one of those poles or something.
Yeah. You could run in the first game, but only if you found the sneakers. But anyway, so neither of those games are received particularly well.
No.
And people want they want the first game. And so that brings us to this year when ToeJam and Earl Back in the Groove comes out. And same story, ToeJam, this is a reboot. There's now 2 girl aliens also they're fine. And it's the exact same setup, but it's weird because this is actually, I really wasn't sure what to expect out of this game. This is a very faithful remake of the first game. Like, slavishly faithful. They've redone the art style, so the art style is kind of all more it's like vectors now as opposed to pixel art. But like the mechanics are the same. It moves just as slowly. It has the same roguelike thing. All the systems are the same. To the point that like I was expecting not to like it, but by the time me and my cousin Bryan got to the end of it, we were kind of like, this is ToeJam and Earl. Like they just made ToeJam and Earl, and that's a really good thing because I don't think you get that a lot with reboots. Like you don't get something that kind of does capture the heart of the original. The only major criticism I'd have, and it's kind of a big one, it's such a devoted remake to the first one. I question why you would play this as opposed to just playing the first one. Because the first one is obvious, like, you are not playing this game if you don't have any, like, if you don't remember ToeJam and Earl 1. You're just not. And the first one holds up well if you're like ready to kind of go back to that vibe. The pixel art in the first one's beautiful. The sound samples have that Sega Genesis fucking filth on them, you know what I mean? Like it sounds great.
Yeah.
And like the voice samples from it were really like iconic and stuff. And I don't know why you play this new one over the old one. But I still enjoyed my time with it. €20 maybe asking, or $20 is maybe asking a little bit much. But it was a fun trip back, and I kind of just want to play the original now.
What platform is it on?
PlayStation 4. I think you can... Seems like the kind of thing that'll probably be on everything eventually.
Yeah. All right. It's definitely Niamh's turn.
Niamh,
Yeah.
tell us about The Division 2.
You know the way I bought The Division digitally, and I was like, I'm such an idiot for doing that. Well, I did it again.
Why?
Because I'm an idiot and I don't like learning.
Did you pay full price for a digital?
Oh, I did. I absolutely did.
Jesus Christ.
But my gamble paid off because The Division 2 is a very good shooter.
Ew.
Schluter.
I know.
Oh,
okay.
I feel gross.
I would not
Niamh.
like to get schluted.
I don't want to be schluted.
I listened to like Giant Beastcast like 3 weeks ago, and they said the word schluter, and now it's in my vocabulary so much that I can't escape it.
Giant Beastcast say splat 'em up or splatformer.
But it's a loot shooter. It's a schluter. It makes perfect sense.
It is, like I totally get the portmanteau of the word.
I'm not arguing that it makes sense, but at some point I feel like we have to appeal to human decency.
Schluter.
But like, The Division 2 is a great schluter. Like, it has what you want, which is content. Like, out the wazoo. So there's so much of it. Like, schluter wazoo.
The wazoo is the word
so many
I'm
good
real
words.
I'm real behind on.
Shoot some wazoo out of your schluter.
And The Division, you're shooting so much wazoo out of it. Okay. Anyway. Division 2, it is the Division 1. It's pretty much the same deal. You are a Division agent. The world has gone bananas because on Black Friday, a virus was put on all the money, killing most people and...
Whoa, man! It's like consumerism gone mad!
Does it take place in Washington?
Yeah, this is in Washington. The
I'd
first
carry on
thing
that bit for another 7 minutes if my voice wasn't down.
was New York. This one is Washington. So it is like... It is nuts to me that they're trying to call this game apolitical because there's literally...
Those fucking cowards!
They're such cowards. Ubisoft are the biggest cowards because like it's literally like monument mode where you press a button and you get to stare lovingly at the monuments like the White House. The White House being your base of operations.
Stars and straps forever.
And it opens with a cutscene that's
Rotten
like...
an eagle.
The U.S. of A.
If you had guns, you
Shoot
survived.
your guns in the air,
Yeah.
ride your cows to Washington.
It's basically America by non-Americans. Like, it's so funny.
American soil.
My best friend's an eagle.
We're draped in the flag.
My dad is a gun.
Okay, for any of our American listeners who are offended, watch any fucking St. Patrick's Day, you motherfuckers. Any St. Patrick's Day special you assholes have made in like the last 20 years and get back to us on it.
You have a cereal with a leprechaun on it. Shut up.
Yeah, shut the fuck up. Give us this like 1 second, okay?
Yeah. Like, oh, you can go buy popcorn and American-style popcorn, and it's like way more sugary.
It is the most flag game. And I want to tell you about my experience with the character creator because I want to know if this is weird.
Was it like that they only let you move the American tattoo flag around your body, but there was no option to remove it?
Yes.
I'm supposed to know you're not a real American.
This is like hyper realistic.
I'm a real American.
Like all the guns are
Fight for the
military
rights of every man.
guns. Like
Sorry.
what you're wearing is like, knee pads and military gear. Like it's all like it is so hyper realistic in a like kind of modern military sense. When it comes to character creators, I like to roleplay, and depending on the world, I will pick whatever gender, whatever race, whatever height, whatever, I will pick something, and I will build an OC and play that character in that world because I find that interesting. Because this is so realistic, and the world is so clearly political, even though Ubisoft wants to pretend it's apolitical. Like, they literally have it opens up with a montage of basically, like, people who had guns survived. That's a pro-gun message, no matter what way you look at it, And there's signs around it that goes, we're all Americans. It's political, whatever. I didn't want to roleplay anyone other than myself in this, because I thought it would be weird. Like, say if I wanted to play a black character, I thought it would be weird to pick a black character in this world where it was clearly political, and what I was doing as them would be like...
Because it's too close to reality.
Yeah, it's too close to reality that I felt uncomfortable.
So you want to put your own politics into it? Or like,
no, I don't want to put any... I was
okay.
like, if there's going to be blood on anyone's hands, they're going to be on my digital hands.
Okay.
So I passed the controller over to my girlfriend, because you can't make yourself in video games, and I said, make me.
Wait, why can't you make yourself in video games?
Because you don't know what you look like. What you perceive yourself, what you look like, is not what you look like. If you were trying to make yourself or describe yourself, it would be totally off.
I just cycle through the defaults until I show up.
Well, yeah, you're default number 2. It's easy for you. I'm default number 72. Like, so I handed it over to...
Opinionated alt chick.
Yes.
The opinion stats are like, wait, like it actually breaks the bar and it's off the main menu screen, and you're like, shit, they should fix that. And it's like, we asked, but you said no.
So I handed it to my girlfriend. I was like, make me, because if someone's going to get blood in their hands, it's going to be digital Niamh and not like digital anyone else. I can't do that to any other character. If someone has to live through this Ubisoft game, it's going to be myself. So she did, and like the character creator was robust enough and had 2 short haircuts for women that I could make a character that looked, like me enough. And Ubisoft do this thing where they pretend they have diversity. So a lot of the characters in this game you'll meet will be black and will be Hispanic. And there will be a lot of, like, when you go to change your body type from male to female, they don't say male, female, they say change body type. So originally I thought that was like a weight scale, but it wasn't. It was the gender scale. So they seem to be kind of up on kind of diversity, but it's not. It's like, it's an illusion. Like, Ubisoft are the most toothless developer going. They are so toothless that their diversity comes out of systems. So they have a system where they don't want to make different clothes, so the clothes naturally become gender neutral. So it kind of looks like I have all these options to me as like kind of a girl who wants to like wear masculine clothes, but it's only there by the grace of Ubisoft's reuse capacity and not because they want diverse characters. And it was the same with Odyssey. The dating system, and that was because they had 2 characters and they didn't want to change anything about it, and it wasn't because it was naturally included. So I made my character, I made Niamh, and I went into this world, and story aside, The Division is like is a really competent shooter. The loot you get is good loot. When I get a new gun, I need to try it out, and the guns feel great. Like, they really feel good. As a Division agent, you get a special ability. I have 2 abilities right now, which is a mini turret that I love as a son. Like, it is a cute little robot because it's
What's
like...
its name, Niamh?
Jimin.
What?
No, it's not. That's a BTS character human's name.
You're not meant to like that.
BTS character, that's the correct
Yeah, it's
diction.
a BTS character's name. So Jimin the turret goes out and he kills indiscriminately.
That sounds like something a Korean pop star would do at this point.
And then my other ability is a healing thing, and the game is difficult. You will die a lot, and it benefits you to be in a team, and the matchmaking in this is fantastic. So I play all my Schluters solo, and I do that because I have unpredictable hours and I like to be alone. So the matchmaking is really robust. I can hop into, like, I can use the system called call for help. So if I die all the time, I can do a call for help and someone can drop into my game and help me out with the mission. If I can answer people's calls, they will pop up on my screen. And if I do a main mission, I can enter matchmaking. If I do a side quest, I can enter matchmaking, and everything scales, so I can be dropped in with higher level players or lower level players. But like, it is genuinely a very, very good shooter. Its story is bad. The environments look nice. I would say it's not as nice looking as The Division 1, simply because there was a lot of snow in the Division 1. It happened at Christmas, it happened along Black Friday. It has nice lighting in it, but it's not as visually interesting, and there's a weird thing happening with this game where there's a lot of, like, you remember when you saw the videos for the first Division, the interface looked slick, like it was kind of like this floating UI kind of system.
I remember those videos, yeah.
Like, this doesn't capture that slickness. Like, it's still quite nice, but it doesn't really capture it, and there's a lot of glitching going on. Like, if you cycle through guns, my character's hands get stuck above her head, like, consistently.
Good stuff.
Like, you can see that, like, they're, like, jointed really awkwardly at her torso, and, like, they kind of just hop around. My gun disappeared for a whole mission, what was really funny. I pretended I was a murder mime.
I love when that happens.
Yeah, it was really fun.
When non-game breaking stuff happens, I love that.
And the game just continues on, and it's just like, what? There's nothing wrong with this.
Enemies will blow up, and then like their bodies will just be caught mid-air, and you can kind of walk under them and kind of rotate the camera around them. Like, stuff like that is kind of fun. But it is good enough looking. Like, it's not the best looking, and I think we're in the era of PlayStation 4 games and like Xbox One games. We're at the end of the life cycle where everything kind of looks good.
Yeah, like, especially Remake and Devil May Cry, for me, kind of both raise the bar again.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the character models in Devil May Cry.
Yeah, just hyper-realistic polish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, with a kind of... We're getting to the point now where some of it has a nice stylistic flair as well.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's like too many pores on the skin.
I would say, like, with the Division, there's a little thing I don't like about the environments is they feel very passive. Like, there's chairs, you won't be able to sit in a chair. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, it's pretty looking, but I can't interact with it in any capacity. It is... Even the closing door kind of animation that was very prevalent in Division 1 doesn't seem as... It's there, but it's not as a focus. Like, you don't get that hand that drags across the door. There isn't as much polish, but there's way, way more content. So if you like shooters, you like the Division 1, the Division 2 is everything they learned from 1 packaged together into a nicer, neater package. There's so much to do. It feels good. There's a good challenge. The soundtrack is actually crazy good as well. That really ramps up in missions. Really like that. Story's bad. Location's also good. And the story is bad in a weird way where you're an agent. There will be a cutscene from someone telling you what to do. Cutscenes deliver your mission objective. They just tell you, go do this. That's it. Sometimes the camera doesn't land on your agent at all. But then when you're in an area, people will be like, cool, an agent! You rock, man! I love you! You're just like, okay.
That's me.
So yeah,
Real
kind of
your power fantasy kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. It's an Ubisoft game, which means it's completely toothless. It's vapid. And it's empty emotionally, narratively, and in any way that really matters. When it comes to content and feel of guns and gameplay, it is good and it is enjoyable and it will keep me playing for a long time. So depending on what you want out of a shooter and a game, it could be the right thing for you. I think it's a perfect thing to waste time with. It's my perfect podcast game.
Sure.
But don't expect much narratively, but expect a lot loot-wise, I guess.
Yeah. Guys, I got a little Remake 2 update.
Yes.
It's bad news. I think I'm bored of that game.
How?
Oh dear.
I think Remake 2... I think it's boring.
Where are you in it?
I just started playing as Cheryl, the little girl.
Yeah.
And just... Like, whenever I'm playing the game, I'm kind of just like... Yeah, I guess.
Why?
A few things. First of all, I guess I feel like one of the things I love about the old Resident Evil games is like its loss. It is like it has that kind of campy charm. I don't really get that from this game.
I'd agree. It's definitely not as campy.
And so it replaces it with this thing where it's like, oh, it's super serious. But this is a silly situation.
I also don't think it's serious either. I think like Claire being like, you asshole! Fuck! Like, there's a lot of silliness to it still.
Yeah, but to me, that's the kind of silliness where it more just seems like someone trying to write something in like a modern American movie style that's not really landing, as opposed to like just straight up camp, you know what I mean? There's stuff I really don't like about the combat. Like, the way the kind of bullets and zombies work. You know, the way it's kind of like the amount of damage you do, it's not random, but it kind of works on a scale of how many bullets you have left. So if you have very few bullets left, your bullets are going to be more effective against the zombies versus if you have like a ton of bullets left. It also takes into account how many consecutive shots you've hit and all this kind of stuff. And like basically with the idea of simulating a tense experience, I don't like that. I want to feel like my actions matter. And sometimes with that game, I feel like whether I'm shooting a zombie in the leg, in the head, in the chest, it doesn't matter.
Why do you know this information?
I've heard people talk about it.
That's a pity. Because I played that without knowing how it scales at all. And the same with like Resident Evil 4, I never knew it did that.
But even before I knew that, I was kind of like going, why is there no logic to how these zombies are reacting to bullets? Like, it was still in me, that question.
But I would kind of like say, because nothing will take a bullet in the same way. You know what I mean? Sometimes something will survive.
Yeah, but to me, I was like, these are still flesh and blood creatures, and for me to believe them, I need to see them act, or I need to see them react that way. And so then, like, I got to the point where, like, I was starting to really enjoy it, where I was kind of like, oh, I shouldn't actually be fighting zombies at all. I should be like, this whole police station is a giant puzzle chest, and I need to go solve it bit by bit. And then for a while, I was kind of getting really into it, and I was like, I'm really enjoying this now. And then Mr. X shows up and all that kind of stuff, and after a while for me, whenever Mr. X showed up, I wasn't like, oh no shit, it's Mr. X, what am I going to do? It was like, oh fuck, okay, I have to go around the other way now. And that was kind of it. That was as much emotion as he got out of me.
Well, after a while, it does become managing him. Like I had many chases in the library where it was like me going up the ladder, him going up the ladder, me running around, me getting down, moving the thing a bit, going up.
That exact thing happened to me.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
And like
It's
I thought
just you
that was
cheesing as
fun. Like
Yeah.
and you could cheese it as well because you fall through the boards at one stage. So if you leave that bit where you fall through, you can get down faster and kind of stuff. Like there's like I honestly thought that was fun and being like, can I inch a tiny bit more movement or will I take a punch?
Yeah, no, for me that just started feeling like just a game. Like as in I am playing a video game and these are the order of operations I need to take to proceed to the next area. Like that's kind of what and like I know this is a very different from your experience and like not taken away from that experience at all. It's just kind of like I guess how I've been reacting to it.
Yeah, no, like if that's how you're reacting, it's just interesting how I like that and you didn't like it. Like I'm not saying you're wrong in how you're feeling.
I definitely got that experience too. It just didn't bother me.
Yeah, it's just interesting.
And
how,
like I can tell, like you know, this game is overwhelmingly positively taken. But for me, it's not really connecting on any kind of personal level. I'm really impressed with the game's polish. Like they went for it, and no part of me thinks that the reasons I'm like, I don't think this is a poor product. I'm just kind of coming to terms with the fact this is not going to be my game, and I'm not having that emotional reaction. I guess like if I could boil a lot of my issues down, I think this is a horror game, and I don't think it's scary at all.
I don't think it's a horror game either. I think it's like as a horror puzzler. I don't know. Like I
think the horror part of that implies it would need to be scary.
But I wasn't scared either by it. Like the first few times I went into a dark room, I was like, ooh. But like by the second time you play it and you're running through it as a puzzle, like zombies don't bother me. What I'm doing is how do I maximize the best way to go through this? I never had that
first time around.
Yeah, like for me, my second playthrough was like a meditation. You just
I get that.
I get that. Like a flow
but
state.
That's not,
you're not scared.
Yeah, but I never had the fear the first time.
Yeah.
But even like that,
I definitely felt scared at the start.
Yeah,
because like I didn't know. I felt overwhelmed. I didn't have an estimation on what this game wanted from my output.
Yeah.
But then once I knew what I would do and what I would get back from it, I had like...
But that's the kind of game side of it that I think people enjoy, and I'd probably be enjoying that side of it more if the rest of it was working for me. The other part of it as well is like I kept feeling like when I was playing it, there was something nagging at me, and I know I'm going to get shit for this. I know people aren't going to agree. I feel like The Evil Within 2 is such a more interesting experience than this game.
I really like The Evil Within 2, but I do not think they're comparable at all. I think one is like an open world survival mechanic, and like Resident Evil 2 is just like, it's like a puzzle game. Like it is like, how do I get through this and maximize my items and my time? Like you're trying to...
It's very linear.
Yeah, you're trying to like, how do I do this as fast as possible? Like if I go here and do this and this and this.
That kind of clarifies things for me a little bit, because the idea of doing something fast has never appealed to me. But where I would see overlap between the two is I feel like they both are heavily based in like survival horror trappings, you know? Both of them are very heavily resource intensive. But with The Evil Within 2, I felt like I was always just scraping by. And I like feeling like that, you know? With Resident Evil 2, once it kind of clicked, I had just a mass of bullets. And there's parts of The Evil Within 2 that I found really frightening. Like whenever one of the kind of the hags showed up, I was like, oh, fuck, you know? I never get that with Remake 2. And so I guess like in terms of a horror game, and I don't think like, at some point I feel like we have to acknowledge that part of the intended goal of Resident Evil 2 is to be a horror game.
I don't think so, because after you get out of the I would totally disagree with that, because after you get out of the police station, like the poopy sewers and the like
The underground lab.
the underground, they're not scary, and they're not meant to be scary.
Sure, but I feel like the police station is the majority of the game.
It's half of it.
Okay, the police station is half of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think the idea that Resident Evil 2 isn't meant to be a horror. Like, I see what you're saying in that there's a lot of other parts of the game, but to me, like, if you're making a remake of Resident Evil 2 and it isn't hitting on that inherent survival horror
There's
appeal...
a difference between survival horror and action horror, though. Like, I think they're two different genres.
Well, what was the original?
Well, like, it's not the original. It's like 2019's version of Resident Evil 2. It doesn't matter what the original was. It's not that game.
It's a remake. Like,
It's a
at some
remake
point,
of-
they're making it
yeah.
because the first one was successful and the first one was popular.
But you can't hold it to what the intention of the original was. It was made in a different time in a different style. You know?
But horror doesn't age.
This one changed. It didn't age because it's different.
I don't think I'll ever agree with that. I think clearly, well, for me anyway, I think like Resident Evil, a part of it is it's, and like this was kind of my problem with 7 as well to a point. Love the earlier parts of 7, didn't like the later parts. You enjoyed 7 all the way through, and I think it's that same conversation again. But to me, it's like, if you're losing the horror from Resident Evil, I don't think you really have anything left.
I think you go into Resident Evil expecting like pure scares. You're not getting Resident Evil. Like, that's not, it's item management, it's puzzles, it's wackiness, you know, and it's sometimes scary.
You can have all that and retain the horror though, because like you have Remake, you know, like the original Remake. That's a scary fucking game. There's also a giant snake called Yawn.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
4 wasn't scary, 5 wasn't scary,
No.
6 wasn't scary, 7 wasn't that scary. You know, there was parts of it. Like, you know, I don't think it's fair to say it should be scary, and if it's not scary, it's not working.
I think it's fair to say that when I'm saying that's my reaction to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, because like none of the like I like Resident Evil because it's a horror game, and I love horror games. If I want to play an action game, there's a lot better games I can play than Resident Evil.
That is true. But if you want to play a horror action puzzler, there's no better game than Resident Evil 2.
Or just an action puzzler because it's not scary. Yes!
We're going to have to agree to disagree. Like, I think it's just a great game. I think Bryan likes it a lot as well.
And a lot of people do.
I think I like it less now.
Yes! That's all I want, to make people enjoy things less. No, like, obviously,
just edit this down, please.
This is fine. This is fine. If we keep going, it's going to be too much. This was fine.
Yeah, no, we can leave it here.
I feel bad for that one guy who's like, "Can you stop talking about this game?"
That's you, Bryan. You feel bad for yourself. Anyway, yeah. So I think I might be done with that game.
That bums me out.
It bums me out too. I wanted us to just all be fucking high as shit on this game. But do you ever have that thing where like you're playing a game and you're like, am I is this working for me? And then you play another game, like say for me it was Devil May Cry 5 this time, and it's like, oh no wait, this is what I feel like when I'm really into a game. That's what happened, and it sucks. But yeah, can't wait to see the comments on this one.
There'll be other. There's still games we need to talk about, and
yeah,
it
let's
seems
move on
like
to something just completely non-controversial. Let's move on to Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice.
you don't want to talk about Detention first.
Oh shit! No, let's talk about Detention first.
You're reading because like,
Yeah, do you really want to follow that up with
with
a fucking another survival horror, which is more?
Well, no, Detention's more like an action puzzler.
Detention is a puzzle horror, for sure.
Is it combining items to talk to a character that allows you then to proceed forward?
You need to get an item to proceed forward.
Yeah.
It's old school as fuck.
Yeah.
Here we go.
I played and finished Detention, and I loved it a lot. It is a game that John has been championing for a long time, and it is from the developers of
Red Candles and
Red Candle.
Devotion, yeah.
Did
Devotion.
you
notice all the red candles? In
I sure
Detention?
freaking did. When you get to save, it is at a Buddha statue. With
They
a lot
got
of
that
red
brand.
candles. It was a really pleasant experience. It's a short game, maybe around 3-4 hours.
I didn't think that. I
Yeah.
thought it was much longer, and then I went back and I played it. Actually, beat it again today, and yeah, 2.5-3 hours.
And the game is on sale right now, just saying.
Yeah. It's one of those games that kind of messes with your expectations a little bit, because at the start it kind of introduces the idea of yokai and like kind of like ghosts, and they're in it, but it becomes less about that kind of fantastical world and more about a personal journey for the main character, and it becomes like kind of a personal horror really about the characters in that world. I really liked it. I really enjoyed uncovering it. There were some bits of it that reminded me a little bit of Gone Home, because as I said, you kind of think it's one thing, and as you go through it becomes more and more personal to reveal a personal story. It is kind of done with a cutout animation style. Really nice, really works well. It kind of shows that you don't need a lot of money
Yeah.
and a lot of fidelity to make something genuinely scary. You just need the right story and the right graphical way of telling it, and they did it really amazingly in cutout animation.
An interview with the makers, and they were saying what they wanted it to look like was an old photograph. And like, it never clicked with me that that's what they were doing, but when I read that, I was like, my god, that's totally what like the way, like, you know, the facial features are quite played down on everyone, and
It's like, it's really interesting. I didn't like the ending. I thought the ending let it down a lot for me, and the reason I thought that is there's two endings you can get, and it's a good ending and a bad ending. The game is all about the main character realizing a kind of personal crime she has committed. But to get the good ending, you kind of have to know that's what the game is making you realize, and you have to answer questions in a certain way to get that good ending. I answered my questions, and I knew what the game was prompting me to do. Like, the game was basically like, do you want to be a better person?
yeah.
Was basically like what a question would sum down to, and it would be like, yes, no, like what, or whatever. And like, these are more nuanced questions. This is me summing it down to what it was asking me of me, and I know the game wanted me to say yes, I want to be a better person, but I thought in the moment where I was with that game, the character herself didn't know she wanted to be absolved of any sins, because she was only remembering the sins she had committed. So I answered what I thought she would answer in that moment, which was denial, because the game was about her in denial and uncovering her denial. So because I answered her questions as denialistic, I got a bad ending where, spoiler for Detention, stop now, she kills herself. And it was a very kind of like anticlimactic ending that I feel didn't really have any closure. And then I kind of looked up the good ending, and the good ending gives a lot of more context for a second character away. And even with the good ending, I kind of didn't like that either, because it does kind of let herself, she still kills herself, but like there's kind of a bit of an absolving of her sins through it, and I didn't think it was nearly my place to let her absolve herself.
Yeah.
It was interesting. It was like a game that I 100% loved until the last moment where I felt the ending let it down.
And I think splitting it into 2 endings as well kind of came with some problems. Like, you only really... there's 2 playable characters in the game. One at the start, and then one for the majority of the game. And you only really find out a lot about that first character if you get the good ending, which is a shame, because I thought the sequence of Wei coming back to the school was really powerful and good, and not anything that was tied to like an outcome or choice. So why hide it in this ending that not many people are going to see? I guess the good ending maybe creeped me out a tiny bit as well, because I felt like I think you tweeted about this, but they make a subtle comparison about how people should be allowed to do what they want, and then one of the teachers echoes this sentiment, and this teacher's having an affair with one of the students, and to me that character was like a fucking piece of garbage. Like, he was the worst, and it was him saying that, so I get it's only from his own perspective he looks like that, but I still feel like you're maybe drawing the comparison a bit there as well.
Yeah, there was like a weird bit in it where like this is like obviously like about like it's a lot of Malaysian politics in it.
Taiwanese.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Taiwanese politics.
I mean, Malaysian as well. Like it's all kind of. That was a complicated period, the White Terror.
But like he kind of equates his desire. He's a school teacher and he's like her guidance counselor. He kind of equates his relationship with his student as the same as defying like, you know, book burnings and stuff like this. And it's kind of like he really positions it as, you know, a challenge to the status quo nearly in a positive sense. And I didn't feel there was any condemnation of it from the game itself, and it kind of felt weird to me.
Even his outcome is like, even the bad things that happen to him are kind of defined as tragic.
Yeah.
But in like, I also felt like he's framed as a piece of garbage. Like,
yeah, kind of in how
in his actions, you know.
But that's because we're playing through the girl's eyes, who he was dating, who she felt slighted by him, and she puts everything into motion because she feels slighted by this teacher who, it's really weird. It's like, it's really strange because like she's from an abusive home background and she felt her way out, and her love and where she was getting support from was from this older man. Then he denies her, and then because she's denied, she goes and tells a very pro-government school official about a secret book club, which ends up with a lot of people being arrested and one person being killed, and a lot of people it just decimates a large group of people because of her jealousy and because of her rage.
And she did that because her mom did the same thing to her dad, or something. She reported him to some tax audit thing. So
it was like, it was kind of strange. The game has the ending felt strange because of that, because like her crime was so awful, I didn't want to absolve her of any of her sins, and thus I got the bad ending. It's a weird one. I think the implication was she wanted to get Miss Ian fired because she had misunderstood the teacher and Miss Ian's relationship, but that's not what happens. And then like there's a lot in there about like she is suffering in cycles. This keeps happening to her over and over and over, and your gameplay run is meant to be attempting to break that cycle. It doesn't. Like, it all goes back to like a lot of Taoist, Buddhist kind of stuff. I kind of wish it, like, at the start of the game, it kind of communicated to me that this was me trying to break a cycle. Then I guess I would have tried to break a cycle with my answers, but because I didn't know that was what was desired from me, I felt like I was role-playing her in her denial, and thus didn't get good answer. Didn't give the answer it wanted from me. There is sorry. There is stuff there, and you notice it a lot more on your second playthrough, but then a lot of the stuff as well, it's kind of rooted in like, you know, kind of Taoist stuff that we wouldn't be very familiar with, that a lot of Western audiences wouldn't be that familiar with. But it's an interesting game. I really would love to know what you think of Devotion now. Yeah, I really can't wait to play it. Is that back up on Steam? Not that I'm aware. I actually was talking to the guys from Red Candle this morning. What? Really? Yep. Follow each other on Twitter. Cool. But like they're not in a great way, I don't think. But
Yeah, so I guess with Devotion, I know I've already championed this game a bunch, but Devotion, in a lot of ways, it's very similar to Detention. There's a lot of traveling back through memories, a lot of uncovering this thing that would happen, but it was nearly so much more singular in its approach and so much more damning of the thing it's criticizing, because in some of the interviews at Red Candle, they kind of talked about how they wanted to be apolitical. They wanted to present a setting and a scenario, and they wanted to be apolitical. We've kind of already talked about that kind of stuff. I don't think people should ever claim to be apolitical in art. They are very much taking a stance in Devotion towards a very particular thing and being very scathing and negative about it. And the two games are so like similar in their approaches, but to me, Devotion is such, and I don't know if you'll agree or not, but like I feel like it's such an evolution of Detention. Like it's such a similar story, but everything's just better. Everything's just so much more succinct and kind of poignant, and yeah.
I can't wait to play it. I hope it comes back soon, and I would really urge people to play Detention, and I would like to hear, like, it's one of these games where I want to hear people's opinion on it.
Yeah.
Because, like, the ending left me with so many feelings.
Yeah. And it's also one of those games holds up so well on a second playthrough. Like, when you know what's coming from the start, it's really something. Devotion's that way as well. Play through Devotion a second time, it's actually crazy how they're like pretty much slapping you in the face with what's going to happen, but you just never saw it, you know? Yeah. In some really creepy ways as well. There's some borderline play scene from Kill List shit in there, Brian.
Oh dear.
Yeah. Guys, we all played Sekiro.
Sure did. Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice.
Brian, why don't you give us a little rundown of this game?
You play a shinobi called Sekiro, aka the one-armed wolf or the one-fanged wolf, and you are rescuing a young lord who has the blood of a dragon, and I guess it's a revenge rescue game story narrative. It's much more story-driven than previous From Software games, which leave a lot of stuff vague. There is stuff vague in this game, but it's more direct, I would say.
Just by the nature of having a named protagonist, it's going to be more story-driven.
Yeah, it's
definitely a character who is friendly to you.
Yeah, this is not an action role-playing game. This is a weird stealth character action, not game. How far into this game are you guys? Because I have a feeling I'm a bit further than you, both of you.
I am currently fighting, is it Jinzo the Drunkard?
Same.
Juzo the Drunkard.
Yeah.
I'm stuck on him.
Okay, he's a piece of piss.
Is he?
Fuck you.
Oh yeah, piece of piss.
He
But I play that game like a ninja.
makes me want
But
to cry.
you kind of have to be an asshole, don't you?
You do. You have to fucking... I've gone back and raised my experience so I have extra like ninja weapons in my prosthetic arm. Because I'm cheesing those enemies. It's the only way to get through them.
Okay. How did you beat him?
I clear out all the enemies first.
Yeah.
Then I activate the conversation with the NPC.
Yeah.
That'll distract him. Then I will use my Firestar confetti thing to scatter shot, and it goes into a distraction animation in which I can go behind him and fuck him up a load. I also
The firecrackers is kind of a way to...
I also parry to bring up his posture.
Okay.
I've gotten really, really good at parrying.
He's an easy one to parry as well because he's big wide swings.
Yeah.
Anyway, maybe we're getting a little ahead of ourselves with this one. So this is the newest game from FromSoft.
Yes.
And FromSoft, famously the Soulsborne creators, Dark Souls, Demon Souls, Bloodborne.
Yeah, and this is directed by Hidetaka Miyazaki, who's the key figure in that studio.
Yeah. It's been really interesting watching some of the conversation around this one. I have seen so many people being like, it's not a Soulsborne! It is a Soulsborne! Have you guys seen that at all?
Oh, totally. Yeah.
My
Like,
God.
forget everything you've learned. No, this is exactly what it's distilled in every way.
It's not a Souls game, and then the backlash to it's not a Souls game came. Who fucking cares?
Yeah, who cares?
Oh God, I don't care.
It borrows very heavily. I think it's its own thing. Okay, so like, I'm still on two fences with this game. I'm now in Ashina Castle, and I think if anyone listening who's gotten to Ashina Castle knows that it's where the game kind of opens up and you're in this overwhelming environment that has so much fucking scale to it. Because it's huge. And there's 5 different like paths you can go down.
Cool. Wow.
I kind of like that from the start. There's so many multiple ways you can go.
Yeah, like I know there's paths that I'm like I found a path and it was like, hey buddy, there's ghosts down here. I wouldn't fucking go here. And I was like, you know what? The regular dudes are kicking my ass enough. I don't want to fight ghosts.
Yeah. So I am absolutely loving the ninja stealth exploration of this game. I think it's so fucking good.
The upgrade in mobility from previous Souls games is kind of astounding.
I constantly have the run button, so I'm holding down circle and I'm just running all the time, everywhere, because I'm a cool ninja secret boy.
Yeah, and like you're just, jumping off shit, grappling hook up to other shit. Like it's great.
So I love entering a new area and going, all right, I'm going to explore every nook and cranny of this place and I'm going to take down every enemy. What I'm not enjoying are the actual boss battles.
Yeah.
I don't really connect with them a lot. It's mostly mini bosses and it's just some dude with a name. So it'll just be General John Walsh.
Fuck.
And it's just some fucking like human with a fucking spear. And they're fine to fight, but I don't get the same amount of satisfaction at all compared to Bloodborne or Dark Souls when I defeat them, and that's kind of putting me off the game.
Yeah, I understand the philosophy behind that, because I think there is like a contingent of people who like their favorite fight in kind of any Soulsborne game is when you're fighting like a human the same size as you and they have a bunch of weird tricks.
There are a lot of enemies like that.
Yeah,
but they don't, like, some have cool designs, other ones just look like the most fucking boring ass looking dudes I've ever seen.
The Shinobi Hunter, I thought that might as well be a regular enemy.
I kind of like, just overall, like, I haven't got too far with it. I love the aesthetic. It's very pretty.
It's so beautiful.
There is like, with Bloodborne, instantly I was like, I want to draw that, I want to draw that, I want to draw that. I'm not getting that same level of kind of wow factor with the design of some of the stuff in this.
I feel that way about the environments. Yeah. I think the game looks beautiful. Like, the environments are modeled exceptionally, but like,
there's so much repetition in that design, though.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's
everywhere
like,
it's snowy,
like
red.
in Bloodborne and in Dark Souls, there's some real fucking like, I love the
Nightmare Frontier, stuff like that.
Nightmare Frontier. I love, like, there's places in Dark Souls, like, the bridge of the Moonlit Butterfly and all that kind of stuff, and I'm really blanking on them now. There's a really cool one from Dark Souls 3. We always talk about it, Bryan. It's the second area. It's like Undead. It's not. It might be Undead Parish.
Undead Village with the big fat priestess.
Yes, I love that place.
That's so good.
That place,
so cool.
That's really good.
The enemy designs were really inventive. Like,
So there's a place in Dark Souls 2. I think it's something like Valley of the Dragons, and like the sky is literally filled with just dragons flying around, and it's amazing.
So the world of Sekiro is mainly Ashina, and the map is much more focused. Like, it's definitely more dense, because like this game is very, very big in terms of its core locations, but it doesn't have the same amount of variety.
Maybe not the same feeling of journey.
No. Like, I like there are some bosses I've really, really enjoyed. Like, there's a bull that's on fire. He's great. There's the general who shouts his name. He's the first like actual boss of the game. And he's just a guy on a horse screaming his name.
I fought him once, and I was like, you know what? I don't need this right now.
You're gonna have to fight him. He's actually not that bad. He's grand.
I think I need to find that fireworks prosthetic.
It's in the pretty much first area.
Yeah.
God damn it.
It's definitely worth going back 3 years' time, because there's a lot of useful items there.
You get your axe there.
I got the axe. That's fun.
The final boss of that area is fucked up. I can't beat that fucking jerk.
I think, like, when it comes to difficulty, like, there's loads of Steam reviews where it's people like, fuck this game, it's too hard and stuff's bad. I don't think this is a bad game. I think it's a great game, but I think it's pretty okay to say it is not for everyone at all. Like, I think this difficulty in this, like, to me, this is the hardest game I've ever played, and I think the difficulty might stop me.
Yeah. Like for me, the game has a balance, but the balance is so specifically geared to a certain play style, and I don't like the katana as a weapon, and I have no choice but to use the katana. And I think you either click with that main weapon, and if you do, you're going to love the game, but if you don't, you're kind of playing someone else's favorite game.
Yeah, for me, I definitely clicked with the katana. I love the weight of it. I love figuring out its reach. I think a lot of the boss battles are about learning the boss's reach and learning yours, and I think that's really interesting. In terms, it's interesting when you say about the difficulty, Niamh, because like one thing I do find with a lot of the Souls games is like if the first time I played Dark Souls, I thought it was like one of the hardest games I'd ever played, and that became a big part of why I was enjoying it. I think you've got a lot of people bigging up to how hard Dark Souls 1 was because the difficulty was enjoyable. It was like, this is the hardest thing I've ever played, you know? It's like, but I'm gonna beat it, and then it felt really rewarding when you did beat it. But I find like with that kind of experience, you do maybe get diminishing returns, where like with Dark Souls 2 I was like, okay, cool, and with Bloodborne I was like, okay, just from this difficulty point of view, do I keep wanting to bash my head against another 20 bosses? Same with Dark Souls 3, and now we're on Sekiro, and I think there's a kind of fatigue for me that sort of sets in, where I'm kind of like, I have only so many hours in the game today to play games. Do I want to spend an hour on this boss? Do I want to play something else? And like, I'm really enjoying Sekiro a lot. That part of it's wearing on me.
It's like, when I played like Dark Souls and when I played Bloodborne, I felt I was improving because I was given the opportunity to improve. And like Bryan was saying, I could play the weapons that I felt suited me. And I play a lot of things with
that
range.
You can role play the game.
Yeah.
With
like,
this you can't.
With loads of people, if you talk about their Bloodborne build or their Dark Souls build, it's going to be totally different from your build. And you're like, I can't imagine playing the game like that. You played it with the axe the entire time? I never would have done that. You know, there's just like, you will find a way that suits you, and you can get through that game because you found the path that suits you. And you will get it. And I got that with Bloodborne. I found the weapon I liked. I found the way I like to play that. And I progressed, and when I was progressing, I was just like, I'm getting better and I'm growing. With Sekiro, I feel like I clear out a whole area and I feel really good about that. I've done all my stealth kills and stuff. I hit a boss and the boss kills me with one hit, and I don't get the opportunity to get better because I clear out the whole area, I get to the boss, I get hit in one hit, and it's so demoralizing in a way. And people, like, I was talking about it on Twitter, and people are like, go train with the guy. You have a hub area and there's a guy you can train with. With the guy I can train with, I can totally fight him. It's fine. I can like totally do it and achieve all my counters and my jab counter and all of those things. I can totally pull it off. But when it comes to a boss, I feel like I'm not progressing because I'm not given the opportunity to learn, and I'm just being demoralized by it completely. And I'm not being able to go towards it in a way that I would want to. And that's fine because Sekiro and the wolf is his own character, and that's his fighting, like that's his moves. I don't know if they're going to click with me. Like, even if I beat this boss and the next boss, I don't know if I have the strength or the desire to fight the next boss. I would just say, like, boss,
patience with Sekiro, because I think if you were to drop it, if that's how you feel, you're not playing the game wrong, you know?
Like, from where I can gather, I'm over the halfway point of the game, and I'm kind of content enough to leave it as is.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna click further.
No, and like, I'm really trying to give this game as much a chance as possible, and I know what it is, and I don't think it's for me.
Yeah,
and I super appreciate this game. Like, I'm so glad this isn't Bloodborne 2. This is its own thing.
That's
it's
the other
fucking cool.
part of it. Like, and it's kind of interesting because I feel like Dark Souls has a very specific philosophy for combat. I think Dark Souls' philosophy is very like, turtle up, hide behind a big shield and fight. and like, you know, take your very careful defensive swing when you're ready, learn your enemy's pattern, be careful all the time. And then people started playing it, you know, a different way, which was like without shields and stuff, which evolved into Bloodborne. Bloodborne's very offensive. You're not you have to play super aggressive. Uphill battle anymore. You are the monster in Bloodborne. Like, all its game mechanics are telling you to go forward, do as much damage as possible. With Sekiro, I think the philosophy is very different. I think the philosophy is you are weak and you are powerless and you're coming from behind, you know? And I think you get that in its stealth mechanics, and I think you get that in a lot of its boss fights. Every boss I've fought so far, it's always something so much more, like just a human, but a more powerful human. And it's really like trying to make you feel weak and trying to make you like find different ways around that. And I don't think that's going to be for a lot of people.
Yeah, like, to me it's kind of battling with these two things where he's super overpowered as a stealth ninja because the stealth in this game is kind of broken, where
it's very forgiving.
Where like the character, where like it'll have enemies but they'll reset their walking pattern in less than a minute, and they don't notice dead bodies or anything. They'll just go back to patrolling, and they have a very like strict regiment of their routine. And sometimes they'll just even stand with their back to you. It's super easy to clear out an area one by one, piece by piece. But then when you have the boss battles, you're completely exposed.
Yeah. Or even if you get overrun by a swarm of normal enemies, it can be quite difficult.
Yeah, especially because his katana is so magnetized to one enemy at a time.
Yeah.
You can't swing it around viciously and sweep across a bunch of enemies like you can with
There's
the
no
other
AoEs kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's like with Bloodborne, when I got to a new area, I was excited at the prospect of what I would meet because I knew eventually I could meet that challenge. With Sekiro, I get so beaten down and like that I'm like, I'm afraid to get to the next area. When I saw like Jinzo, the drunkard, run at me, I was like scared. Like I was like,
yeah, my stomach dropped.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, he looks strong.
I don't want to be here, and like I didn't feel that confidence that I could learn and grow and get stronger. I just felt so defeated, and like I guess that is what you were saying. That's kind of what they want you to feel, but I don't feel like I can overcome it. I don't feel like I am good enough at countering. I don't feel like I might ever be good enough to do that, to get there. And it's really demoralizing, and like not in a way that I'm like Sekiro's a bad game, but like Sekiro I'm very comfortable with saying like I'm gonna keep going for a while and see if I can get there, but like I feel like it might not be the game for me.
Yeah, and like you know, Niamh, I think obviously you could beat Sekiro, you know how to play games, but I think it's completely understandable being like, look, I don't want to give that investment of time. Like I think that's.
But I don't even know if I could be able to do it.
No, Niamh, you get like this with action games sometimes. You could.
No,
you're fine.
But like this is it. You know the way like
this
like
game
I'm gonna give you an analogy, right? So imagine you're playing tennis and you keep losing, and then you go and you watch a YouTube video. Because I've watched YouTube videos of people taking down these bosses thinking I could learn what they do.
Yeah.
And they go, here's the moment where I figured it out. And I was like, oh cool, I'll figure out the moment that they figured it out by watching the moment they figured it out. So imagine watching a tennis player playing really well on a YouTube video, and then you going to yourself, cool, I'll just do that.
But
you can't just do what someone else did when it's innate. You know?
You're also it's not innate. These people play Souls games professionally.
Yeah, but there's like something like there is an innateness I think with gaming and with certain type of games where your brain works that way. Like
and will always be shit at shooters.
Exactly. With a shooter, I know he'll go that way because that's what I will do. And then I go, oh, he's a good player, so I know he'll know I'll know that way, so I'll go this way because he won't know that way.
See, my brain never would do that with a shooter.
So
it could do it in a fighting game, but not a shooter.
You learn your map, you know, that's the exit, so they might go that way if they're a bad player. If they're a good player, they know that's the bad way to go, so they'll go the opposite way. If they're a really good player, they might do something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's rules that your brain starts to learn. And like with Sekiro, I feel like that is a rule set that I am a baby. I am a baby with a tennis racket that is also my sword, and I am trying to fight a very large man, and I cannot do it.
Yeah.
And I can watch so many videos, and I can understand where they got and what they're doing, but when it comes to me trying to pull it off, and I felt like I had a kind of breakthrough with like the Shinobi Hunter of Mizen. Like, I think, like, I got him down, like, halfway, and I did the counter that I needed to do.
Hikari counter.
Yeah, I did the Hikari counter, and I did it twice, and then on the third time I was like, ah! And, like, the shock of nearly achieving what I wanted to achieve, I died.
Yeah,
and then
you're,
I went
you're
back.
like, you're like suddenly overthinking it.
It is rare I have found a game that makes me choke as bad as Sekiro does.
Yeah.
I have such a problem with character action games with choking, and I had such a problem with that with Dark Souls and Bloodborne, but I managed to get over it. I don't know if I can get over it with Sekiro.
You know what's the complete opposite of Sekiro? Devil May Cry 5. Devil May Cry 5 is like basically constantly rubbing your shoulders and being like, you're the best.
I have a copy of it. I'm going to play it.
From what I can kind of gather from the general response of this game is that this is the game that From Software fans that have been loyal to their series for the better part of a decade now, this is the game that they deserve.
Mm-hmm.
They've been rewarded and they're delighted, and I'm happy for them.
Good.
I think if you appreciate their games or like specific parts of their games, it might not gel with you.
I guess two things just want to cover before we tidy up Sekiro. First of all, I thought the snake sequence that fucking shook me in a way games don't often do. When that thing peeked its head from around the cliff,
yeah.
I think I nearly shit myself. Like, because there's nothing fantasy in the game up until that point, and then just this gargantuan snake. Fuck.
That was good.
The actual sequence itself I found a little frustrating because there was a bit towards the end where I couldn't see where I was meant to go.
Yeah.
And the snake kept killing me over and over and over.
And it loses its momentum very quickly when you have to do it a third time.
Although, Jesus Christ, when you stab the snake,
oh yeah,
the noise it makes.
See, you're just talking about a giant snake, and I'm like, I don't want to deal with that.
Have you not met it?
No.
Oh, that snake's a jerk.
Oh, Niamh, I think you'll like the snake.
Stuck in.
It's not really a
I'm a drunk
boss.
man.
It's like a sequence you get by.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like Mr. X, sort
How
of.
have you not met the snake?
Because I'm stuck on the stupid drunk man.
I'll leave him.
You should fuck off and do something else.
Yeah.
I hate not being able to beat him.
Lastly, I like, you know, a lot of people are talking about like whether it's a Souls game or not. So I don't care. Like, I really don't care. But I do think it's cool the chances FromSoft took with this game. Like, in a way, this is what I like to see from any sequel, where like it is retaining a lot of what people like about that.
And the fact that
style of
Activision
game.
didn't meddle with it.
Yeah, but then like they've changed combat so much. Like,
Yeah.
they've changed mobility so much. They've changed like just
There's
the
no
core-
stamina anymore. You
Yeah.
can just run forever.
They've changed like the core philosophy of how these games work, and I think that's really brave, you know. And I think what happens when you do that successfully is you do have people who aren't going to be as into it. And like I think I'm less on the fence than you, Bryan. Like, I think I like this game a lot,
Yeah.
but I'm still not sure where this is going to rank with me. But if it does, I know it's going to be a preference thing, like you're saying, Niamh, as opposed to me saying this game is bad.
No, that this game is objectively fantastic.
Yeah.
Like it plays so nice and it looks brilliant. It's just a personal thing. It's just it's definitely taste.
FromSoft did their job.
Yeah. they
Whether
did.
you will enjoy it or not is a different matter.
Yeah.
Totally.
I don't know how you'd recommend this game. I think you know right away if it's for you or not. I think if this is your first game, I don't know.
I don't know. You might be way better at it, because like, Bryan, a big part of your challenge has been getting over your Bloodborne shit.
Yeah,
And that's I find Bloodborne so hard when I started because I was trying to play it like Dark Souls.
Yeah, whereas Bloodborne's second nature to me.
Are you telling me I shouldn't be dodging? I should be countering like all the time.
Yeah, fuck 'em.
But I dodge in to get that counter.
For me,
See, dodging works like half the time, and then
Mm.
others attacks you're just going to eat it when you dodge. Do
like,
you ever jump?
yeah, the
Not
jumping.
that much.
See,
Should I jump more?
See, like with the dodging, there's no invincibility frames except for like one or two when you sweep left or right with dodging. It's not like the Souls games. So I do counter, and I kind of have to hum to myself. And you have you're 100% concentrating on the game while you're doing it.
Jumping can be a pretty good like, okay, fuck it, I'm scared, I need to get back.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Whereas dodging won't always get you out of there.
Okay.
But I am using the weapon or his shinobi arm all the time.
It's so good.
And I play like an asshole.
Yeah. You just have to be a sneaky ninja dickhead. So yeah, that's Sekiro. I guess we're probably going to talk about that more in the coming weeks.
Yeah.
But for now, let's say move into our Quicktime Events. Google Stadia.
What the fuck is this?
Okay, so this is... You see that PS4 on your TV there, Brian?
Yes.
Imagine if it wasn't there.
I'd
Moving
call
on to
the
our
police.
next item, we have Vampire the...
So Google Stadia is Google's new answer to gaming, and you didn't watch the keynote, did you?
No, I don't want to watch that.
Okay, I watched the keynote, and
The
it opened up
games, is it?
with a guy on stage, and his opening statement was, "I don't play games that much." And I was just like, "Don't open with that."
Did he not win you back with that line? And here, someone who knows their NPCs from their RPGs.
Oh Jesus, it was quite painful.
That's some jargon for you, buddy.
So, non-gamer and CAO of Google announced the new Google Stadia, and it is a streaming service. And like conceptually, this is quite cool. The idea is that you could open your Chrome browser on anything, and they had a live demo of you opening it on your mobile phone, you opening it on a Chromebook, and on a PC, and they said it was the most lowest spec PC they could buy on your TV using a Chromecast, and that you could play a game at 1080p minimum at 60 frames per second using their data centers. And that's the pitch. That is the pitch, that you will not need to own expensive hardware anymore. You just need your Google Chrome app and you can play all the AAA games.
How much a month?
See, that's where they didn't open up about it. There is no pricing mentioned in this. So they didn't talk if this was something
So
like...
Infinity, Brian, you can pay Infinity.
And it was kind of frustrating because they like kind of wheeled in like Ubisoft, because of course Ubisoft will sell their soul to anyone. But then also id, who do Doom, and they were very happy with the fidelity of Doom over this service. But they didn't like talk about stuff like data caps. They kind of say if the demand is there, then broadband and internet suppliers will meet that and kind of remove data caps and stuff. But that's a big if. But generally the concept is you will not need to use hardware, and over your Wi-Fi you can play seamless games. And conceptually that's cool. They Google own YouTube, so they talked about a lot of YouTube integration. So the idea,
which is great, because I feel like Google have done such a just bang up job with YouTube, and it's so easy to make a living off YouTube. There's so little problematic content on YouTube, and just the moderation tools are just fantastic. And I just, they've done an immense job, and like to see that same level of care put into the gaming market, but just boy howdy, color me excited.
So they were saying an example, like say if you watch the Assassin's Creed Odyssey trailer on YouTube, at the end of that there would be an advert that just says play Odyssey, and you could click on that and then play it instantly in your browser, and then your saves would save over. So like if you picked it up on your phone, it would then, you could pick it directly up from your PC and it would start from the exact same place, because your saves are constantly saving to their servers, their data centers. The idea of maybe playing with your favorite YouTuber, you could drop into a game with them. Your favorite YouTuber could give out save states, and that would be like, here you can play from this part of the game, and send them out to people.
Are they pitching this as like an actual like finalized product, or as a tech demo?
This is coming out this year, and they're going to have more news in June, which is E3 time.
Hey, because you know the way Google are real into like, check out Google Glass. We don't know what it is, but it's cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're saying when this launches, they're offering 4K at 60 frames per
Bryan,
second.
if you are suggesting that Google are just going to abandon this project, I'm going to write a very lengthy word post of why you're wrong and post it on my Google Plus account.
They also unveiled the Stadia controller, which connects over Wi-Fi, so there won't be any latency, is what the idea is. And I thought there's a state share button where you can save clips and share your broadcasts. Again, it's all very streaming integrated. It also had the Konami code printed underneath it.
Why?
I just thought it was such a lame pass from, like, you know...
Gamers gotta rise up.
We're real gamers.
Yeah,
There
like,
is the Konami code.
But like the Konami, like I
But
know
John,
what the Konami...
the cake is a lie. Leroy Jenkins. I'm a gamer.
Niamh, I'm not gonna lie, you're speaking my language, but the Konami code is such a... And it's like, have you guys fucking looked at Konami?
Yeah.
Like...
You're a nasty company now.
Like, yeah. Like, those are the... You want to be like, 2019's Konami is just our fucking... We just think those guys are the greatest.
They're like, quick, who knows games? Michelle, who knows games? Say something. She's like, Konami code. And they were like, fucking genius. Like, it just felt like, okay, cool, Konami code. So that's on their controller.
I wish it said the cake is a lie.
Oh, they have like id with Doom Eternal on board, and yeah, that seems cool. Like, conceptually, this is a cool idea if you like digital software. I like physical software, but I'm also old, so maybe...
I like physical software, but the amount of times I wake up on the day of release and I'm like, well, time to go into town, because I work from home, time to go into town and buy my game, and then I'm like, or we could just download that motherfucker and eat some popcorn.
Same, and like he was saying on stage, there were like no download times, and I did spend like 4 to 5 hours waiting for the Division 2 to download, and I was just like, that would be nice. So there is obviously pluses to this, but it's also, if your internet drops, there's no offline play. So your games, if you're buying games at full price for €60, I would rather own it physically and be able to play it offline.
I'm still getting bad experiences with Netflix. I don't know if this is gonna work.
Well, I think, honestly, one of the best arguments I've heard against this whole... And look, I think if Google are serious about this, they will get there. They will make this technology work eventually. And I think the potential for it being disruptive to the current landscape is immense. Like, this could change absolutely fucking everything. On the other hand, the best argument I've heard against it is something that Bryan said in our group chat, where he just said they can't even get Google Drive to work right. And I was kind of like, yeah.
No, they can't. I use Google Drive a lot, especially the last 2 months for personal projects. And there's so much of, like, you get these pop-ups going, you can delete this and it'll be saved by the other people who can access the file because you've uploaded it to a group folder. It was not. My confidence is not high on this. As someone who uses Google every day, I don't know.
Today, Apple announced their game streaming service as well. With a
What?
like, yeah, just there with 100 like exclusive games, for their service. More than likely, Xbox will announce some kind of streaming service, and I honestly would trust Microsoft and Xbox, who have a stake in gaming, over Google.
Especially when the first person that comes out is like, I don't know what a game is. I've never seen a Mario.
Like, I guess with this Google thing, the priority will be like the Fortnites and the Minecrafts and stuff.
Well,
Hard to say. It's
the games they're showing are first person, like single player games.
like,
it's
yeah.
Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
It is
Doom.
worth saying, like, they did a massive demo of Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and like even the feedback was very positive, and it, like, I include journalists I trust in that.
And the game had the latency of a like PS4 Pro version of that game.
Hard to say because it's Assassin's Creed and those games are laggy offline. Like, there's a mushiness to how those games controls.
Yeah.
But when Doom Eternal comes out on it, that's going to be the bar, you know, if they can get that working right.
Because I know PlayStation have had PlayStation Live for about 2 or 3 years now. it's sometimes promoted, but most of the time not.
I don't think that's a service that Sony are putting a lot into.
No.
I think they will because Microsoft are going to push that now because we can get it here now. But it's like, I think eventually this will be our future of games, but I don't know if it's now. I don't know, not even if people are ready for it, but if even just the major infrastructure for it exists outside of a certain few people.
And like, do you know the biggest thing? Because like, I think technically this can get there, but you know the biggest thing for me, first of all, is like, well, look, if there's a fucking rainstorm, I want to be able to play my games. I don't want to rely on Wi-Fi. I don't want to rely on a service. I want a physical thing I can put in a console and play. Then second of all is I have a nostalgia for it. I like physical media. I like having copies of my favorite games. I like my game collection. You know, I like looking at the cases and just being like, yeah. Those two things I just said though, the generation below us do not give a shit at all.
No, it's way more disposable to them.
This is the generation that are going to grow up playing Fortnite on tablets. They could not give a flying fuck about this stuff.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
it's true. And like, that's what they're doing. Like, they're targeting the future of gamers and gaming kind of thing.
I just don't know if I believe the tech right now. It feels like science fiction.
The only thing that has me, I guess the demo has me kind of, but also just the belief that they'll get there, because when you look at how fast technology has traveled in the last 10 years, it's like,
yeah,
you know, it's fucking crazy.
Apple, in their keynote that was on just recently, they said theirs will be available for offline play, which I think was a direct comment about the lack of that for the Google Chrome.
How does offline play? Technology is just weird magic now. Did you watch the Giant Bomb stream of it at all?
No.
Jeff Gerstmann was not a fan of MatPat.
Really? It was a weird move to be they're really pushing the YouTuber angle.
Yeah. As
Gaming,
a YouTuber,
yeah.
I can say that nothing bothers me more than the idea of YouTubers getting more power. Absolutely fucking nothing.
You don't want to be a screaming streamer?
Also, it sounds awful that people could like load into your game.
Okay. I want to get this off my chest super quick. I think what was cool about YouTube back in the day was that it was just this fucking platform where any nobody could put up a bunch of videos, they might get popular, and it's cool because you're just a normal fucking person. You're not surrounded by a million agents, you're not surrounded by any of that stuff, and all of a sudden you get popular and you have a voice, and that's great. It is a fucking terrifying nightmare world, the influence culture that has become. And when I see shit like Stadia being like, we can use authentic brand ambassadors to further engage the core audience, I want to fucking rip off my skin. I swear to God, this shit is why the world of YouTube is a terrifying nightmare land. Stadia, let's do it.
Did you see a while ago it was like that Xbox guy and it was about Anthem? It was a good while ago. But like, he was like, oh, reviewers can't even get past a certain point. They were making a comment about a bad gameplay thing, and someone was just like, well, where would you go for your advice? And he was like, I'd watch your favorite YouTuber play the game. And it's like, it's people know they can monetize. YouTube is the wild, wild west, and they're more popular than, you know, most celebrities. This is gonna get like so nailed down pretty quickly.
I remember once a company asked me to do a thing, and I just emailed them, but they asked me to do it for a thing, and I emailed them back being like, I do not do that thing. And they emailed me back going, that's okay. We really value the authentic engagement you've established with your core audience.
Why do you not speak like a human?
Because it wasn't a human. This was definitely like definitely like instance 1 of 5 million of the hive mind I was talking to. Anyway, let's move on. What a nightmare. Google Stadia is a nightmare. Like, yeah, that's going to be great. If that stuff works, it's going to be fantastic. What a convenient way to play games. But we are the dystopian nightmare, people.
It sounds like an episode of Black Mirror. Just saying, my eyes are open. Are yours?
Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. It's GDC.
That's pretty much the announcement. The original Vampire the Masquerade came out in 2004. This one is going to be set in the sexiest location, Seattle.
Where it rains every day.
Where it rains every day.
You mean the movie from Sleepless in Seattle?
Oh boy.
Yes, exactly.
I
Seattle,
love
famous
Seattle.
from Sleeping in Seattle.
Where Frasier takes place.
The sexiest of sitcoms. And it was set during the middle of a blood war between several vampire factions.
Sounds like the fucking Kate Beckinsale vampire movies.
This is the vampire game I want. And like, this is going to be in 2020 on PC, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One.
Happy birthday.
I watched the trailer. This looks good.
Yeah.
Like, well, that's a good trailer. There wasn't much gameplay.
There was no gameplay, but people are excited. People want some vampire fiction.
I have always been intrigued by those previous games. I want to go play them.
I don't know if they hold up now. In fact, no, they don't.
You know what? I might just give them a try.
I mean, get slutty with it.
What?
Just
Yeah.
get slutty.
Yeah, just fucking tear it out.
Embrace it.
Just rip a bong.
Wait. I'm okay. I'm gonna move on.
It's vampires.
Western version of Judgment to be changed following the actor arrest.
Yeah. Hey, at least the game's not delayed or in, like, you know, hell limbo.
Yeah.
Fucking...
So here's their statement. Last podcast I go, I doubt it'll affect the Western release. Here's a statement. Due to unforeseen circumstances, the character model and Japanese voice for character of Kyoei Hamura will be adjusted for the Western release of Judgment, launching on June 25th, 2019. Screenshots and trailer featuring him have been temporarily removed from all Sega's official channels. Updated versions of these materials will be made available at a later date.
Okay, so here's what they're gonna do. They have his character model, right? They have a bunch of sliders. They're just gonna push them in different directions 10%. So it's just gonna kind of look like a fucked up version where he looks the same from far away, but when you see him up close, you're like, oh, sorry, I thought
think
you were
they're
someone
gonna
else.
Get a completely new actor.
You think it's gonna be because
They're keeping the release date.
Yeah.
with the fourth Yakuza game, when that got a re-release on PS4, there's a cop character you play as, and that actor, same thing happened with him. There was a drugs possession charge, and he had to retire. So his face is remodeled, but it's like his normal face, but just like slightly fucked up.
Like they've just adjusted the create character sliders.
Yeah. So I kind of hope they just do that.
Jesus Christ. It's nuts. The idea of erasing someone from media because they're involved with drugs.
It's super cruel, and it's not a legal requirement. It's just all societal.
It's a,
Yeah.
yeah.
He was also the voice of Olaf in Frozen, so DVDs and Blu-rays of Frozen have been pulled from shelves, and so has Kingdom Hearts 3.
Nindies Cuphead coming to Switch.
Yeah. This was their indie game direct last week.
I didn't watch this. I should have.
It was good. Cuphead's coming to Switch, which is cool because that was developed as a Microsoft exclusive. Microsoft and Nintendo kind of have this supportive relationship of each other.
Yeah.
And they
it's nearly getting to the point now where a Microsoft character could make it into Smash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is opening up the possibilities. So there's, I know Cuphead coming to Switch is cool. It's out in April. I'm gonna get it on Switch.
I own Cuphead. I'm going to get it on Switch.
There's this long running like what if Banjo and Kazooie were in Smash, and I'm always dismissive of it because I'm like, there's no fucking way.
Yeah. I think if I recall correctly, I can remember an instance on this podcast where you're very dismissive of it.
Oh yeah, I still am.
It'll be Master Chief way before Banjo and Kazooie.
No, it won't be Master Chief. It'll be the girl Master Chief who's in Dead or Alive.
No, it'll be Voodoo Vince. No, it'll be Blinks, the Time Sweeper.
Oh, now there's a character.
Created by Yuji Naka himself from Microsoft.
Can't believe he did Sonic the Hedgehog again.
So yeah, this makes the opportunity of Microsoft-owned characters to make their way onto Nintendo systems.
Yeah, or if you were just especially perceptive, you could have known that Microsoft were launching their streaming app on Switch, and that the doorway was already opened because Mario characters had already appeared in Minecraft on Xbox.
Let's just see how we get
I guess
on.
maybe some of us just keep a broader eye on things than others.
Maybe being negative is the positive. If you don't believe in it, you won't be disappointed.
What is
one can
happening?
no one can hurt you if you're made of bullets.
Banjo-Kazooie will not be in Smash.
Persona 5 Royale.
Did you watch this? I didn't watch this either.
I watched it.
I
What did you say? What did you ask me and then decide the answer?
I didn't watch it.
It's a persona girl. The camera's floating around her in a crowd. She's saying things about phantom thieves. Her design is nondescript enough to make me believe she's a protagonist.
Okay.
Like a femme protagonist.
So this is just a re-release of a game that came out 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's Persona Golden Royal, you know?
Yeah, so it's kind of like
Right.
maybe like the third game where there's now a female protagonist, but also her dialect suggests that maybe she's against the Phantom Thieves, so maybe it's a little bit different.
It was vague enough
Yeah.
that it could just be weird Persona non-talking.
Yeah, it could also
Yeah.
just be taken from like a clip where she's like, I don't believe in the fan, and then she's a Phantom Thief.
And they said there's going to be more info in April.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Yep, sure. Do you think this game comes to Switch?
Potentially, yeah. Atlas do weird Shin Megami Tensei games. Well, they do Shin Megami Tensei games for Nintendo systems. They've never done full Persona games, but they should.
2 new Switch models by summer.
This is a new rumor from today.
Yeah,
Oral
the
cut.
Wall Street Journal released it.
Yeah.
And they were pretty right about things previously, and they're positioning this as there's 2 new models, and they're going to be a replacement as well for the 3DS, so that's going to be phased out completely.
It counts less than 5% of their sales now.
Mm-hmm.
God.
And they're going to
Remember
be,
that was a thing that saved Nintendo?
Yeah.
and that these new iterations of the Switch are going to be quite different from the original Switch. So, like, you know the way the original DS looked like a monster that no one loved?
Yeah, it was this weird silver clamshell design that looked... It looked like a tech demo.
It kind of feels like something like that, where they're going to go pretty far from the original design, which it will be interesting to see. We don't know if this is true. This is a Wall Street Journal like report, so it seems like it has a lot of legs to it, but who knows?
Yeah, from what I've heard, one of them is exclusively handheld, so the nunchucks are built into it. They don't detach off. It doesn't dock.
Oh.
I know with Nintendo handhelds, usually it's 2.5 years after the launch of the original is when the revisions start coming out, and then there's always revisions on that revision. So this is pretty standard. As soon as they launch a product, they go back in and tweak it and develop it and make it 45% smaller.
I'm looking forward to seeing what it is.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see what the design will be. Also, my Switch still feels like super new to me.
Yeah, I sometimes I hold the Joy-Cons and I'm a bit like, I wish these felt better.
Yeah, they rattle a tiny bit.
Like
there's
something...
I really like how they slot in and it feels nice, but then there's that wiggle and it feels like the 3DS hinge where it flaps a little bit.
Yeah, I'd like more solidity in it.
Would you be interested in the handheld only one, or do you like the docking aspect of it?
I like the docking aspect of it.
Same. I play, I think, 70% of those games on TV.
I'm probably flipped. I think for me it's 30% TV.
I'd say 10% TV. It's a handheld system for me.
Yeah.
It's bedtime, Bryan time.
Speaking of bedtime, Bryan time, what say we move into some emails?
Okay, we only have one email this episode, but it's a good one. First of all, if you do want to send us an email, what is it, John?
It's askletsfightaboss@gmail.com. We got an email saying, I didn't know there was an ask in askletsfightaboss@gmail.com, and that gave me shudders about how many people have probably sent emails to letsfightaboss@gmail.com.
Someone said before it sounds like we're saying at. Let's.
At.
Yeah.
Oh
no, it's
dear.
Ask.
Ask.
ASK. You're asking us a question. Ask letsfightaboss@gmail.com.
Ask letsfightaboss@gmail.com. Bryan, what do we got?
All right, last episode we asked, or we kind of encouraged people to send in a bunch of what if questions because we want to do some quick fires.
We do enjoy the old hypotheticals.
So this one is from Lee, and it's a very good email. There's a lot of what ifs, so I think we're going to go through them very, very quickly. And I think if you think on it too much, It's not good. You gotta go with your gut.
Yeah, it's getting late. How long is this podcast?
5 hours long.
Oh my god.
Okay. So Lee, let's do this. John, Bryan, Niamh, what would you do if you walked outside and Bryan yawned, but he accidentally inhaled the sun when he yawned and everything went dark?
I'd be like, nice one, dickhead.
Good answer.
I would accept Bryan as my new god and hope he will take pity on me.
I'd go to bed because I'm tired. And
What else can you do?
Okay, let's fight a boss crew. What would you do if every time you blinked, your fingernails grew by 1 centimeter? I would close my eyes forever.
I'd walk around at night waiting for people to start fights with me, and then I'd be like, do you really want a piece of this? And then like I'd blink a lot but like while holding my hands in front of me like Wolverine.
That's pretty cool. I would probably do something similar, but like do like finger bangs, but like so guns and.
I think that's kind of the core philosophical difference between me and you, Niamh. I'm more of a claw. You're more of a finger bang.
Yeah. Okay, let's fight a boss crew. If you were a JRPG party, what would your classes be and your backstories? So
I think we got to decide this for each other.
Okay.
See, Bryan, I kind of see as like kind of white mage.
I want to be a thief.
I think Niamh's a thief. Niamh's a thief or rogue.
It's a sneaky one. Okay, Niamh's a thief, and her backstory is she's from the suburbs, and she was that kid in school that stole stuff from you.
Cool.
Yeah.
Fair.
Okay, John
is the main character.
Yeah,
he's the chosen son who needs to save us all.
Yeah, he's just Soldier Knight.
Yeah.
And his backstory is whatever you want it to be.
Yeah. You need to save us. Oh, I do? Yeah.
And then so how about me? Am I heavy? Am I defense? Am I healer? What am I?
I like the idea of you being an evil mage.
Okay. What's my backstory?
I can kind of see him as an evil version of Vivi.
Yeah, I think he's kind of like a power behind the throne character where you think the king is going to join your party, but he ends up dead, and then Bryan is like, how did that happen? I guess I'll join. And use fire a lot.
And
again, Niamh, I think that's you.
Okay, and so I'm from a kingdom.
Yeah.
You're from the kingdom.
Okay.
You're from some kind of royal background, of course.
All right. Okay, let's fight a boss crew. What would you do if you were recording the podcast and Niamh was talking, and while she was talking, she just separated into two Niamhs? Would you continue the podcast with two Niamhs? No.
Can you fucking imagine Game of the Year?
Jesus.
Great.
Niamh, would you continue?
I would continue. I would put my arm this way, and she would put her arm this way, and then we would like.
Niamh is indicating that she would put her arm around herself.
Yeah.
I think you'd be very competitive with her.
Yeah, I don't think you'd like her, Niamh.
I think you like.
I think she's all the best qualities in a person.
I think you like the exclusivity. I don't know if you wanna...
it's like when you get salty when me and Bryan make friends with other lesbians.
That isn't true.
Is it not, Niamh? Is that not true?
There can only be one.
See, that there literally cannot only be one lesbian because then it wouldn't work.
I think you would kill the other Niamh. Or you just get real angry at her.
With a stone.
But I think I'd look at those profit margins and be like,
yeah, really, really fucking reaching out. Let's fight a boss crew. What would if you could live in any video game world, which would it be and why? One where you're the protagonist and one where you're just an NPC. Okay.
Oh, that's a good one.
So for me, I want to be the protagonist of Kirby's Dream Land. I'll be a demigod as Kirby. As an NPC, I want to be in Yharnam in Bloodborne. I am behind a secure window. You do not see me. I am just a voice.
Jesus, I think there's few places I would rather less than Yharnam.
Yeah,
I'm grand.
Seems bad.
I'm chilling.
Why? What's
You're
good?
going to turn into a werewolf and burst through that window.
Like you're just pretty much just saying I want to go insane.
Yeah.
Okay. As a protagonist, Street Fighter.
Okay.
Because I just want to wander the land and fight beautiful people for the rest of my life.
As an NPC.
As an NPC. Oh. Legend of Mystical Ninja.
That's a good
I want
answer.
to run like a little burger shop.
Okay, Niamh, what do you got?
Protagonist, Final Fantasy, because I'll be beautiful with good hair. As an NPC, I don't want to be an NPC in anything. Let's say also Final Fantasy, because it'll be a tropical island and it'll be nice.
Okay.
Bad news, Niamh. It's 15.
No, I'm just wearing a mustard t-shirt, and there's 10 of me.
What would you do if John became lighter than air, so he couldn't actually stand or walk on the ground and was always floating? Just leave him. Just let him go.
I'd tie him down.
I wouldn't tie him down. I'd fucking let
I
that
would
shit.
tie him down.
It's such a windy country as well. He'd be going everywhere.
I would tie him down by the shoelace of his shoe, so there is an opportunity that he could slip out, but that wouldn't be on me because I've done my job.
I'd tell him cop on and get down.
Cop on, John.
John, do you have anything to... Are you just...
I don't think I have many options at that point.
Hey, if you could replace the head of any video game character with another video game character, who would it be? The personality and story of the character stays exactly the same, but the voice changes. For me, it's Kratos' head on Pikachu's body. And it's the Pokemon game, but he's like, boy!
That's pretty good.
Okay, how about you guys?
Oh. Okay. I want to say Mr. Mosquito's body, Kiryu Kazuma's head.
That's not nice. Okay, Niamh.
Armor King's head, Lara Croft's body.
Now we're talking.
It's my new girlfriend.
Okay, well, speaking of your girlfriend, who would win in a fight, Luigi or Lara Croft?
Oh, Lara.
Well, I think as we've said before, what age is Lara? Because that determines her fighting ability.
Yeah.
The age she's in her 20s.
Luigi would kick the shit out of her.
Lara, she has a gun.
Luigi has scream fireballs.
This is a fist fight.
Oh, fist fight Lara.
Nah, Luigi's fucked up.
Luigi wouldn't fucking win anything.
He's like a fucking cage fighting psycho.
Have you ever seen him in Smash?
The dude eats children. He's fucked.
Lara would win.
Can Lara fight though?
She fucking murders people and
With
is
guns?
She's a very she to be fair, she is a very gruesome fighter.
Yeah,
in
she
the more
puts
recent
an
games.
axe in people's head and is like, oh, just adventuring.
I think Luigi
Don't mind
is
me.
the slimiest, dirtiest, creepiest fucking dude.
I gotta be honest. I think Lara Croft would choke Luigi out.
Yeah.
I think Luigi has oiled himself up and he's gonna slip his way around this.
That's not the key to victory to every fight, Brian.
It is. If you could take away one good memory from someone else in the podcast, which would it be?
What the fuck?
That's so mean.
I think
John, the first time he said he loved you to Michelle. That's so mean. That's so horrible. That's
I
terrible.
got a good one. I might have to edit this out.
Go.
The moment Niamh realised she was gay, so she'd be confused her whole life.
No!
Oh.
That's super cruel. I don't like this game.
And so we'd just be on the podcast, and I'd be like, "How's the boyfriend, Niamh?" And she'd be like, I'm just really into this Tomb Raider game."
Yes, all straight people are unhappy, right, guys?
I don't think we're gonna top that one.
No, that's a horrible question.
Good answer.
Well, we gotta do Brian.
Okay, yeah, go on.
Just any memory of Kirby.
Yeah.
No.
That dude made me very.
I don't know. I feel like Brian has some childhood memory where he's on a boat and he loved it or something.
No.
Okay.
I don't like the ocean.
The first time your dad said he was proud of you.
So waiting. Still fucking waiting for that one.
You know what? Fuck it. Banjo-Tooie. Done. Gone.
Man, I'd love to play that game again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
or
okay.
would you? You've never played it. You don't know.
I would. I played the first one.
I would just take all the love out of all your lives. Just anytime anyone confessed love to you, it's just all gone.
Oh,
That's such a mean question. It's terrible.
And Niamh, you'd come to me being like, "I just don't know what's missing from my life," and I'd know I took your memory, and I'd be like, "Yeah, weird."
Just to clarify, my dad is lovely. I'm not being vague. Okay. If you all had stand powers, what would their powers be? Their names, what would they look like? Okay. Mine is a giant guinea pig called Fuck the Police, and I ride him.
That's the power?
Yeah, I can get around places fast. It's not enough. It doesn't have any offensive abilities. It's purely a speed stand. How about you guys?
Mine would be 9 Inch Nails.
This is 2 fucking answers for the name of my stand. Gone.
you'd be fucked like an animal until you're dead. Cut that out.
Absolutely not.
It's a good song.
9 9-inch nails would appear in someone's face, and then it would explode.
And you get bring closer to God.
Mine would be Gangster's Paradise.
Yep.
And it's just a wolf, and he gets stronger the more you disagree with him.
Jesus.
I don't like these questions.
Okay, well, you're gonna love this one. What would you do if every time you lied, you farted? Now, as someone who loves telling lies,
Oh my god, Bryan loves lying so much.
You
I'm gonna
just
smell.
do it more.
I'm gonna fucking smell so bad.
I've never told a lie ever, so
Oh, fuck off, Niamh.
Niamh's such a liar.
Yeah, she is.
Fucking fibber Magoo.
And Niamh's one of those liars as well, where she'll lie on impulse, and she'll believe it up until the point that she can't believe it anymore, and then she'll realize she's lying and be like, "Oh yeah."
I will
well.
say, wait, I'm lying.
But then you hear, John, have you ever lied?
Yeah, of course.
You stinky boy.
Yeah.
All right. What is your least favorite anime trope? Okay, for me, my least favorite is miscommunication between two characters that clearly like each other.
Just talk.
Yeah, I fucking hate Nisekoi for that. I love Orimangatari for that, because a third character just like goes, you like this person, you like that person, you need to just talk about it, don't get vague.
Episode 3, we got a couple.
So that's my favorite and least favorite together.
My least favorite is when a character looks like a child but is some kind of demigod that's 1,000,000 years old.
Oh, it's how they get around it.
Mm-hmm.
It's bullshit.
I hate that. And my favorite is the princely lesbian archetype who rides a horse.
Utana.
That's Tsunade from Class 5. All the girls love her.
I don't know why.
Yeah. My least favorite, I got 2. One is accidental boob grab, because for fuck's sake, like, if you're good, like, if you want to do small, come up with something different. And then I also hate the super bland protagonist who all the girls are inexplicably drawn to.
Kirito.
He's so normal. I love him.
My favorite trope in anime, I got a couple. Most of them are kind of little things. I like it whenever anyone punches the main character and it doesn't affect him, and the bad guy backs up with a sweat drop and goes, "Bagamano!" And then I also like it when earlier in the season, say episode 3, the main character punches the main villain, but the main villain catches his fist and goes, "Oh!"
Oh, I just really like when people speak English.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, if you could hear someone else's thoughts on the podcast, who would it be?
And I think both Bryan and Niamh's minds would be nightmare portals into a doomed reality.
I want to read Niamh's mind, and all I want to do is name female video game characters and just like hear the meter go.
Bryan's mind. I'm just curious. Both of them. Either or. Boys are fascinating.
My mind is like a very comfy couch. Sit there if you want.
I imagine yours is just like a terror roller coaster.
My mind is a normal mind where normal thoughts happen.
John's mind is like one of the chairs you sit in when you wait for the bus. You know, like you can't get comfortable. That's John's mind.
It's just a normal place where normal thoughts reside.
What is your favorite fictional bear?
Bear in the Big Blue House.
Oh, he's lovely.
He's very nice.
That's
I also
such a
like
good
Noah
puppet.
from Noah's Ark. He's a polar bear. He was pretty cute.
That show is fucking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Mine is Beppo the bear from One Piece.
Oh, he's good. He's real good.
He's a fucking cool guy. Gentle Ben, does that count? That was a really funny episode of The Simpsons.
I like Kuma from Tekken because he knows karate.
Do we guys like Yogi Bear?
I have no affinity for Yogi
No,
Bear.
I don't really care.
I like his voice. That's about it.
I like Boo Boo more than like
Boo Boo's fucking
I also
brilliant.
like the insane bear from Gin Nagaraboshi just because he's so scary. Hunter shot him once, and the shotgun shell got lodged in his brain, and he went insane, and then killed a dog's dad, and then the dog wandered the world, gathering all the strongest dogs in the land so they could all go fuck up this bear.
I like the bear in Brave, like, you know, the fucked up bear as well. I like fucked up bears.
Mom bear is cute.
I don't remember any of Brave.
There's two bears, and one is Mom Bear, and the other one is like the villain bear, and he has all these like spears sticking out of the back of his neck.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right, that's it for emails. Big one. Thank you so much, Lee.
We gotta edit some of that. A lot.
I think we're all right.
No, I really think we should go back in there.
I
Clean that baby up.
As the one editing this episode, I think we're doing just fine. Okay, guys, I have a question. I got $3. I want to find a way to dramatically improve my quality of life.
Oh, well, there's this website, right? Called Patreon. But you got to type in patreon.com. You got to add a little / LFAB. Brings us to our Patreon.
Wait a minute. There's one tier and it's $3.
Yeah.
I have $3.
If you give us your $3, you're going to feel way better about yourself.
I'd love the current patrons to give their testimonials. Tell us by how many dozens of percentile your life improved once you contributed to the Let's Fight a Boss Patreon. Because, like, I don't want to throw an average out because I haven't conducted a survey, but it's usually about 70 to 80%.
See, that's the thing. We have this thing called shoutouts.
Uh-huh.
And they can fucking scream and shout to their heart's content in there.
Yeah, and we have to read it.
Yeah.
Within reason.
So anyway, if you do support us on Patreon, we have to read this stuff out, and it will sound something like this. John, do you want to take the first one?
Sure. We got this from Karanam. Still on the Tidus stuff, I see. Tidus is a fictional games character in Square Enix's Final Fantasy series, and John is objectively correct.
This is from Jodio-san. Tidus is a character, and John has onion. Has onion.
He's not wrong.
And this is from Bube Surgeon. Bube. Can this count as my shout out?
No.
You have to try again, buddy. And that's that Patreon bit done. You don't need to hear that anymore. Because there's someone who's like, fucking hate that bit. Just get to the fucking loot drop. If you read the episode description, you don't even have to fucking listen to this part of the podcast. You could just stop this.
What bizarre disdain for someone who listens to us. Oh, good stuff. Bryan, what do you got?
I was talking about Conker's Bad Fur Day, and I was talking about the original build of that game. This is a staff member from Rare. Her name is Louise O'Connor, and she's Irish, and I met her once, and she's a lovely person. Do you remember when that happened?
Yeah, I do.
We were at a Women in Animation panel, and they had Brenda Chapman, who directed Brave, a few other women, including Louise O'Connor from Rare, and she talked about the development of Conker's Bad Fur Day, and I was not mentally prepared for this, and I started freaking out afterwards, and I chatted to her, and she's a lovely person, and she presents some of the videos on Rare's YouTube channel talking about the history of video games that they've developed. And so this is one of them, and it's super interesting.
I got one. This is an old one, but a good one. It's from Rocco Bodie, and it's just called Check Your iPhone at the Door. And it's kind of just a very thoughtful piece about, I guess you could say it's about modern consumerism, but it's kind of just about like how connected we are all the time, and kind of how that does sort of affect, I guess, our psyches in kind of ways you don't really think about. And like, it's subtle, but it really has a message. So yeah, check it out.
Okay. Do you like the X-Men?
No.
Are you gay?
I don't know.
If you were like someone who answered yes to both those questions,
you're out there,
which is a small percentage, admittedly, then my loot drop is The Mutant Ages, and it's a LGBT podcast where two hosts, Mitty Myers and Ryan Pagella, break down the queer subtext of every X-Men cartoon episode there is. So they go episode by episode and they talk about it, and it is a great companion piece if you want to watch the X-Men animated series again, which you should, and it's very funny and I love it.
Good stuff.
Yeah. And I guess at this point, there's some music fading in.
We would like to congratulate our good friend Hazel,
AKA Twinkle Park.
aka Twinkle Park. Where can people find Hazel?
She's at Twinkle Park on pretty much everything, mainly Twitter and SoundCloud, of course.
Yep, super talented. Huge shout outs to her. We got a lot of like super talented people for the outro submission, and it was like her stuff kind of vibed with us. Like we kind of just gelled with it, and it kind of just clicked straight away. And so thanks to everyone for sending it in. This was just a case where we found one person who we just really connected with. And I thought she killed it with this outro. I'm really looking forward to editing it in and seeing what it sounds like. But really hope people enjoy. And shout outs to the patrons as well, because we wouldn't be able to afford something like this without you guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Hazel was a joy to work with, and we were really happy to get this on.
Yeah, and so delighted with the final result. So thank you, Hazel.
Keep fighting the good fight.
Keep fighting the good fight.
And I hope you guys all enjoy. This is our new outro.
Yeah.
We did it.
We finally did it. Now we can stop being demonetized.
Bye.
Bye. John, say goodbye.
John, I'm not hitting stop until you say goodbye.
Bye.